group. But we are until in this stage. So, and such a time that Kenyans can speak with one voice, can identify what they can rally behind to achieve. What is the purpose in this country? What do we want to achieve collectively as a country? Not as a class of people, as politicians, as voters, or what exactly do we need to do moving forward? So once we establish that point, then we will put or we will load politicians account to that effect, because people understand where they want to go, what they need to do, and therefore, if you deviate from that point, it becomes very easy for people to hold you account. But as things are today, we don't know where we are going, so you are not going even to account to hold account to anybody, because even yourself, we don't know what you stand for. So we need to come to that point that we agree that there are certain things that we can do, or the mission of Kenya is to do 1, 2, 3. So politicians will come and tell you, we are going, this is the problem. We know the problem. So you don't need a politician to come and tell you your problem. We know the problem. So the problem we have with them is that they have a problem to fix our problems. So they have never told us how they are going to fix a problem. We only vote, they only come and explain to us, we have a problem of water shortage, but they have not come out to tell us how they are going to fix this problem without infringing in the, maybe without advancing on the grievances of the voters. So you tell us we're going to introduce housing levy, but you are not telling us how you are going to finance it without adding more pain to the taxpayer. And if it is a matter of adding pain to the taxpayers, we should be aware that we are going to do this project, and therefore we have to tighten our belt, because we are going to adjust in terms of paying taxes. So they hide a lot of things for us. So when they start to implement them and then they will require us to pay tax, then we resist, because that was not the plan. So they introduce something that is adding burden to us, and we are not ready for that. And therefore we have to resist. And when we resist, there is nothing that can go on. So we have to deal with these things. Corruption in this country, they have never come out to tell us how they are going to deal with corruption. But they always say, we are going to deal with the corruption. We are going to end. How do you end? We know corruption is there. You don't need to tell us. But how are you going to not only to end corruption, but you reduce it or eradicate it to end, say that it is minimal? They have never done that. And most of us, we are also not aware how that thing can be done, because we believe in their number, we believe in what they tell us, but we don't question the methodology of how they are going to handle this. So they have never told us, because they don't know how to approach it. So as I learned, Hillary, I think the fundamental question that we need to ask ourselves is whether people we elect understand what the reason why they elected, or do voters understand the work of various positions in this leadership? Do voters understand the work of parliament, member of parliament? Does a voter understand the work of a governor? Does a voter understand the work of MC? So that you don't elect somebody yourself, you don't know what you elect them to do, but you want to hold them to account. So you have to understand what they are going to do for you to hold them to account. So I think we have a lot to do to make people understand that an MP cannot do this. So therefore, if they come to you to tell you we are going to construct a road, an MP has got no role in road construction. One role, legislation, oversight, and representation, none of which involves road construction, doing 2, 2, 3. So we have to move away from that. So people are aware of what these people are supposed to do, or their capacity. But it is hidden in such a way that voters think that MPs will come and save them, will give them money, will construct for them hospitals, will do all manner of things, which is not true. So we have to come to that point for us to move forward. Otherwise, we will have to do it by ourselves. And how do we do it ourselves? It's not even possible for us to go to parliament and sit as a Kenyans to talk. So that's why we elect them. So the form of democracy that we have is not helping us. I don't know whether it's helping. It's not helping. So let me just say, Kenyans will only get out of this hole once they understand one thing. As collectively as Kenyans, this is what we want to achieve without going into the segregated groups like the young people, the old, all this. When we go into that direction, we will never achieve it. Either we take it forward as a nation, or we disband the country and start it afresh.
I hear you. I hear you, Academia. The call here is that, yeah, the call here is that you're saying that let all of us understand, not only politicians to tell us what they're gonna do for us, but let us also understand what they're supposed to do for us. We need to understand the constitution and our limits and their limits, and then we'll not be slaves. The thing is that these people, they master the narrative whereby at the end of the day we are the slaves. Thank you for that point, and that's what we are calling for. And you'll give us an action plan now. What do we do for us to be aware of what these people should do for us? Sela, then Abdi, you pick it up from there.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. And to start with, to go straight to the point which was very important was covered and discussed by academia. The problem in Kenya is not the constitution. The problem in Kenya are the representatives from the lowest level up to the highest level, from the MCA to the president. Today, if you look very carefully in Kenya, who are seeking offices? The people who are seeking offices are people who have got finances or money in a scrupulous manner. People who have done dirty things to get money. Today, election is money. This is the problem of Kenya. The people, the voters, problem the voters are facing are those people who are represented. The person, when he is seeking office, he's not coming to seek office saying, I'm going to do this ABCD in this way and for the constituency. No, he comes up with a lot of money. He comes up with a lot of money. He gives the people, fine. And then the first thing he is to do is to recover his money and change his fraudulent institution. Now, the issue, or maybe the way forward now, the situation now to solve this problem as Kenyans today. Now, as for us, what we are going to have is maybe at presidency level to look at things at the presidency level. For example, in 2027, who are those people who are seeking the presidency? I believe at the presidency, but if you get a good president, somebody who upholds constitution, somebody who knows, he knows about integrity, somebody who can understand all this. If you get a presidency and form a government, cabinet that is going to have the right qualities and the right education and the right skills for that purpose, we can change slowly by slowly. In other words, if the president or the person we elect as a president is somebody who can do good things, who understands the constitution, we is somebody of integrity, somebody with track record, then something can be done. Why? Because at that level, he can do what he is going to do is make the institutions, the government institutions to work, to work independently, pick qualified people for that work to do. For example, Parliament. When he becomes the president, the person whom he's going to look for to take as a speaker will be based on his integrity again, and somebody who is going to change things. Like Marende, the last time we had, he was a good speaker, and he was somebody who was upholding all that stuff. This is what we needed. And from the qualities of those kind of things that whom I can see is, I want to be very brief, is there's only one person today who is seeking for office and maybe who can have that qualities, from my point of view, Maraga. that person maybe if we give him something, I don't know how we are going to make it and how we are going to make this issue of stealing stop. But that is a person maybe who has those qualities and who can make independent decisions and who can turn this country around. Today, the way things are, you see, Gajagua is now trying to rally his bases and his on tribal issues. Everybody is asking for tribe, ethnicity. Everybody, a corrupt person seeking office through the tribe, giving people propaganda. These are some of the things. Like, what good is he going to change today if he's given to Matiangi? We know the way he has been working. He can't help everybody. So our objective is to to overcome that. And when we overcome that, probably it will take time for later on to have the right quality, the right people to go for office or seek offices in the right institutions. Because every person with integrity today in Kenya doesn't have the means, or he's not that rich. He doesn't have enough money to run these political affairs. So what we need is at the top level. Kibaki has done something good because of his background for the country. And if only we were to continue with his processes and procedures and those things he has put in, but somehow he had problems because in his first term he was involved in accident and he was not even running the government. Yeah. Other people were running the government based on tribe and all those kind of things. In his second term, he really tried. When he was working, his work was working probably nicely.
Salah tried to land. Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm landing. So what we need, and my point I'm going to give is, we need that. And to do that, what we need is somebody now, the next election, the person we can all agree in Kenya. Forget about it. And the only person that we have in place probably is Mariga. That's my contribution, and I'm done. Thank you.
Sana, thank you. Thank you for your view. Partly, I agree with you. What Kenya needs are leaders who serve not to rule, leaders who see power as trust and not as a trophy that they have won. We need men and women who put the country before clean people, before party, and integrity before self-preservation. I think this is the Kenya all of us want. I think Kenya future depends on leaders who listen to citizens, respect the institutions, fight corruptions. We all say this without compromise, create opportunity instead of extracting from the poor, not populist with handout, not rulers hiding behind ethnicity, but servant leaders who lead with vision and humility. I think I agree with you. These are the kind of leadership we need in Kenya. And having said that, also, I want also to respond to Wanjiru about a Nepal revolution. I think people were brought down on monarchy through persistent unity and refusal to be pacified by half measures. I think their struggle reminds us that power only shifts when the citizens stay focused. Kenya Gen Z is also a similar moment. They already have shaken the foundation of the presidency built on levies, corruption, and handout. Like Nepal, the fight is not about protest or one season. It's how holding the line until real change comes. This is the historical differences that has been there. Ras, pick it up from there.
Asante sana, asante sana. Asante sana, Abdi. Thank you to the Pressure Point team. Thank you, Hillary, for this wonderful platform. I know I've not been around for the two past State of the Nation, and first I'll render my apologies to the host. I had other engagement. Secondly, I want to send my condolences to the Law Society fraternity for the brutal brutal murder of lawyer Kialo. It's so unfortunate that that is still happening in our country. I have several on the state of the nation, but I hope with time we will have. I'll be able to address later. But I'll start with I think what the other previous speakers have spoken, and I know it is a topic that will be a bit uncomfortable for some people. And I'll start. I know many people are asking themselves, and I think academia has touched on this, and others. Is it the ballot or the other way? And when I say the other way, we all know what we mean the other way. And I know, and it is important, Hillary, for us to take stock from where we have come since June and to where we are at this particular moment. And just recently, I think 3-4 days ago, William Ruto was celebrating 3 years of his administration since he took over power. And the reason why I would want to start with this, it is because there has been renewed hope. There has been, I won't like to call it hope, but it seems that there is a sudden, mwamko after Nepal, what happened in Nepal. And I know we are all desperate. We are all want a new country, a new change. But can we just take stock from where we are na mahali pe tumefika? What has happened? What has the GNZ learned? Have we really had a moment of, or we are still talking of the same things? Because William Ruto will not stop looting the country. That one has to be said in black and white. William Ruto will not stop doing business with himself and his cronies, despite signing the conflict of interest bill. He will continue to do that. But what do we do? I know there are things that are coming up. Nepal is suddenly, but we have also to remember some of us are looking up to be leaders. Others have said here on this platform they want to be leaders. I want to pose a question to you. With what constitution are you going to be sworn in with? With what constitution? I'm saying this, I'm reminding people because this is Africa and we have seen the history of Africa. We have had an opportunity in this country to host people that their countries have been deemed to be failed states. Southern Sudan, they still camp in this country. A lot of Somalis are here in this country simply because of a political problem in their country. This country is grappling with a political problem. And the only way we usually solve our political problems is through the ballot. There is no any other way. I know somebody will ask me, but then why did you go to the street? Why were you looking for all those? It was a moment of revolution. And we have to be very, 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 very honest to ourselves that we really tried. Tulijaribu. But things never turned the way we expected. In the process, we lost lives. In the process, many of our comrades are still trapped in cells and imprisoned with trumped up charges. We need also to be conscious. When I say this, it takes me again to the panel, and I'm hoping, Hillary, that conversation will come up, the panel of compensation. That's another area that we really need to cover. But on this particular issue, let us use, because William Ruto has only 2 years. And these 2 years, like a previous speaker has said, why don't we delegate and use this energy that we are still having to identify leaders, some of these civil society organization, to use this particular energy and their resources in making sure that the Kenyan voter is educated on what is the role of our leaders. Because what we are having in Kenya is a bunch of politicians. For them, it is business. And I'm saying this because I have spent this particular week in my backyard, Mount Kenya. And you can see the opposition leader is back. We had that moment of waiting for him, the Raila-like moment coming back, which to me never materialized the way it was expected. And then we can see the kind of conversations that are coming from this area. Currently, the opposition as it sits, it's not giving Kenyans the kind of hope that we would want from leaders, the people we can say leaders. We are seeing emotion whipping. We are also seeing a bunch of group that is also coming up on this other platform, defending also government and stuff. We have tumerudi kwa ile biashara ya kuitana majina na majina. Let us use this particular time to really do some soul searching, because We have to also to be alive to the fact when you tell people that go back to the street, young people rise, go back to the streets. What are you trying to tell the country? Because Nepal cannot be Kenya, and Asia and Europe can never be Africa. If you have read about Congo, if you have the opportunity to read about Somali, if you have had an opportunity to read about even Libya, a good example is Libya when it came to the ouster, and that is exactly what the Kenyan people and us were looking towards to ousting William Ruto out of power, the way Muammar Gaddafi was ousted. I want you to check where Libya is, because what we have in this country, there are people, there are people here, like, I don't want to mention names, wanadhania tukishangoa tu Ruto, then it will be a bread and butter affair in State House for you to now to start writing like what has happened in Nepal. Sasa tuna propose nani nani nani. The political vultures that are in this country will make sure that this country goes to the dog the next minute. Let us be conscious that we have a constitution that has been disrespected by this administration in all fronts. It has been disrespected by leaders. But that does not mean that we cannot get leaders who cannot respect our constitution. That does not mean we cannot get a president who can respect this constitution. The last thing to do in this country is to lose hope in our constitution. And that is the message that I'll continue preaching, whether it is a message that will be liked by the young people or not. The bullets and these other things we have tried, they will not fix governance issues in the country. William Ruto, when he came to power, and I'm saying this because I was part of the campaign team in Azimio, we all thought that with the state machinery and staff, William Ruto, there is no way he can ascend to power. But the people of Kenya spoke through the ballot loudly. They did. So the people that are telling you the ballot cannot be the solution, they are just buying to the state narrative that is meant to send some kind of message to the young people and really hammer a message of hopelessness in them. We can do this. We can elect leaders that have integrity. We can have a president that can safeguard the interest of this nation.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you so much, Ras. I will have a lot of questions about that. But all in all, it's okay. You are saying that the best way to go is the ballot, and we check now the best leaders that can come in. Secret, I want you to pick it up there. Abdi, what do you want to say before we bring Bonnie? Let Secret come in, then we bring Bonnie in. Abdi, do you have anything before Secret?
Yes, yes. So I also wanted to bring, I see Joy Mwai. Joe Mwai is a lawyer, I think, and he has been with us most of the time in this space. And I just wanted Joe to pick up the mic and invite him to take the mic. And the courts have issued a lot of injunctions this week, stopping the e-procurement rollout, presidential appointment on the compensation of victim panel. From a legal perspective, I just wanted to hear what are his implication of this ruling on constitutionality, governance, and accountability. I would like to hear his brief take. Joe, you can pick the mic anytime. Asante sana.
Asante. Secret, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Hilary. How are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm all right. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for hosting the space. Yeah, it's interesting to hear Kenyans speak, honestly. But like, I just wanted to say, and I hope it's valid, that that there's some sort of fatigue that I feel with Kenyans because we are here blaming politicians all the time, while we know that the problem is us. The problem is us. The problem is not these people, to be honest. I think that should be the first thing. The kind of insults we used to hurl at the politicians, I think we should start hurling them at our own selves because we are the problem. When you look at this thing very deeply, it's us, it's not them. Why am I saying this? Because Hillary, if you can remember, we did so much. Sometimes I look at the things that we did. We did a lot of investment, whether it was mental investment and financial investment in just trying to change the narrative of how our politics have been for years. to break the chain. And then it didn't even take like 3 months. We are back to, when did we start giving back people like Gashagwa some sort of relevance? When did we start looking at ourselves again from the lens of, you know? So ideally, for me, I feel I've reached the point of fatigue because Kenyans are, and you hear these people here, they're speaking a lot of good English. Huh? Take them, go and visit them in other spaces, and you'll hear them talk about their people. You'll hear them giving people like, this man who is messing our city. What is his name? The Sakaja.
Sakaja.
And you can see people, their videos, the way, and people are talking about it publicly. Nairobi is going to the state of Joburg. People are getting robbed on a broad daylight, and we are waiting to see if it's going to be whitewashed or mosho moja, and then we give him the governorship back. So ideally, this thing is not. I've stopped blaming politicians. Honestly, it is not them. It is us. It is us. Revolution or whatever we are seeking or whatever we are talking about, and the decorations we are giving them in this good English we are speaking here, it can only be changed with people who have principles. And Kenyans don't have that. Kenyans don't have the principles and that, the moral authority to change a country. We don't have that. So I don't know. I think we should just, maybe, I don't know what will happen, but I think we should pray for ourselves first, to have some sort of change or to have some sort of principles, so that we can, before we even start talking about these politicians, us. And Hillary, another thing, these people, especially, okay, these people, even if you're just sampling a few, the people on space here, these are very well educated people, very well educated people. These are the people who are even informing how their villages, the village mates are thinking. These are the people, their parents call them to ask them which way. But when you hear people who are educated talk and reason about our country and, give people like Gashagwa and whoever relevance, you just sit back and say, you know what? I'm tired. I've given up. There's nothing else. Myself, Hillary, I'm fatigued, and yeah, let me just say I'm fatigued, and
I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm sorry for
yeah.
fatigue. But what is the action point? What do you think that we need to do? The action point now, going
The
forward.
I think for me, the action point is resolution that comes from within us ourselves. What is it that we want for our country? How do we break the chain of us against them? Who is laughing now, and who are we paying? Who are we revenging for this season? Who is on the other side and who is on the other side? Because if we don't break that chain, there is nothing. All these good English decorated vocabularies here, they're all for nothing. It is unless we decide by our own selves that, you know what, we are done with who is laughing now. Because it's always, okay, so we are the ones who are laughing now. Let's wait. Huh? Right now, some of us are laughing. We are waiting for our turn so that the revenge can fall on us. It's exhausting. It is so draining. And if you know, like, how much Kenyan and young people invested in their lives, in their money, in their mental health, so that we can at least we can change something. But we are back to square zero. It's so draining, to be honest. Sorry.
Wow. Secret, that's why the pressure point is here. So we lower the pressure, We're here to lower pressure. But I thank you so much for saying this. But also, hizi kizungu kubwa kubwa lazima tuseme tu, ndio maana tulienda shule. Lakini kile unasema, what I can hear from you is that we know how to say this, but the thing is, tuite Gachagua hapa, utaona 100,000 people coming to the space because of the Gachagua is coming. Or when you call these people, this is the problem we have. When we call all these MPs, people want to listen to them, and these are the people that we're crying all the time. Guys, I think you have a point, and a secret saying that this kizungu kubwa 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 kubwa, what are we doing with them? And then when we are being given an opportunity to even to hold these offices, we just behave like them. You know, we just behave like that. Guys, Kenyans, that's why Pressure Point is here, to point these things out and to talk boldly about them. And even I said this, next year, those people who want to take leaders, we'll take them one by one. And Pressure Point, I want to tell you, Pressure Point team will be against you if you cannot work for Kenyans. We'll not take this for granted. We'll not come here and also take kizungu kubwa 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 kubwa, lakini tukipewa opportunity, sisi ndio sasa ndio wezi kuliko wale. Now, and these people, the problem, that these people that they have nice voices, they have nice stories that we know these people are problem, but when they leave the office, wengine walikuwa impeached, wakirudi hapa sasa ni Mungu. Hawa ndio Mungu, hawa sasa ndio ndio tunataka wakuwe president. But when they were there, were not speaking. When they're out now, they start speaking. Guys, it is high time for us to when we're looking at all this, the state of the nation, which Kenya do we want? Which country do you want? Which the future that you want in this country? That's where we are. Yes, Bonnie. Abdi, Bonnie is
Yes,
coming in.
yes. I think Bonnie is coming in, and
Okay.
Bonnie, I think also we have seen Kenya is sinking much. I've also given you the how much the teachers spent before, and we also looked at Kenya is sinking deeper into debt. Yet the treasury now has set 10 billion shillings for a luxury Gulf Stream jet for the president. And this time, the same man flaunting designer glasses, crocodile belt, red bottom, and watches, school whatever. Schools face budget cuts, hospital lack supply, teachers are taxed nearly almost 900 million a month through the housing levy. My question is to you is: do we really need to burn 10 million on a jet when Kenyans can't even afford food, education, and budgets are being slashed, and Kenya always already exist? Over to you, Bonnie.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Kwa hiyo tuongee Kiswahili. I think you guys have a problem with English. So here's the thing. I want to make two lucid remarks about two topics. The first one is the Constitution. You know, the Constitution means nothing to any of us when, you know, when we elect thieves and those thieves put other thieves in charge, right? If you're someone who maybe was a child during Moi's term and you're trying to, you know, people are telling you that we have a good constitution and you're trying to think, how can that be when you look around and you're seeing your fellow citizens getting arrested for nothing? People are getting shot in the middle of the street for nothing. People are getting disappeared, you know, held incommunicado for months. How can anybody tell you that the Constitution is progressive? What do we mean, right? And the point is that, in my view, we have a habit in this country of doing very dumb things and then hoping that systems and other people are going to come and save us, right? So we elect, for example, thieves, and then we hope that the Constitution, you know, courts, you know, executive, you know, basically law and order arms of the government are going to come and help us. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. And so the sooner we realize that and we own that up, you know, we're going to start seeing the fruits of the Constitution. But when we elect thieves, like, you know, when people, when it was election time, you know, we were told very clearly that this bunch of, you know, guys with Ruto, they're all thieves, right? I think we were all told that. And yet we went ahead and put him in charge. He comes in, and then look at the people that he feels in his government. If you just want to be depressed, go to the EACC website and spend 1 hour looking at announcements of people that are getting pursued for corruption in the last 3 years. Write down names and then Google those names, and you're gonna find out that, generally speaking, they you know, when you announce as a target of the EACC, about 6 to 12 months you're gonna be in government. I'm talking about people like Evans Kidero, people like Governor Nanok from Turkana, people like Mwangi Iria from Muranga, people like Rashida Kesa, people like Governor Oparanya. These are the people that are, you know, have been accused of theft, and particularly theft of public resources. And then within 6 to 12 months, they're in government working for you and I. And so again, constitution means nothing if we are going to elect, you know, thieves and charlatans and then hope for miracles. It doesn't work like that. So I want to make a comment about the economy. You know, this week there was an article that was published by Nation, and I pasted that, you know, a screenshot of that article here, because, you know, a lot of people are shocked to hear that 1 million people at the national government are eating up 50% of the revenue. If you followed me, you would not be shocked by that because, I've spent the last 1 year talking about this particular issue. The issue is actually worse than this article is actually telling you. And I want to use the 2024-2025 budget to give you an idea of how bad things are. In my view, we may not have an option, in terms of whether we're going to go the Nepalese way. I don't think we have an option. I think we're going to end up there. So in 2024-2025, our country is hoping to spend 4.3 trillion. That's how much we want to spend. We can only raise 2.5 trillion as a country. Okay. So that means that we are going to actually borrow 40% of our budget. This year is what we're going to do. That 40% is the same as last year. Last year we spent 3.8 billion. We borrowed 1.5 trillion. So this is not new to us. We've been doing this year after year. Since 2014, our country has never known a balanced budget. And if you're not an economist, balanced budget means that you're spending more money than you make. Imagine in your own house, if you made 100,000 every month, but you have to borrow 40% of your cost or of your cost of living. So every month you are short by 40%. Things are going to catch up with you at some point, right? So this is where we are. So we're going to spend 4.3 trillion. We can only make 2.5 trillion. So we're going to borrow 1.8 trillion. I want you to think about that 2.5 trillion that we're going to make. How are we going to spend this 4.3 trillion that we are going to spend? 1.9 trillion of that is going to go towards paying debt alone. 1.9 trillion. Remember, we only collected 2.5, but we're going to spend 1.9 trillion of that, which is about 76%, to pay interest on debt. So out of the 2.5 that we collected as a country, we've spent 1.9 trillion on debt service alone. We are left with how much? We are left with 600 billion. We have not sent 1 shilling to the counter governments, and we need to send about 450 billion to them. So we sent 450 billion to the counties. How much is left? 150 billion left. At this point, we have not paid those 1 million employees that the article was talking about. They have not been paid, but we only have 150 billion to spend. So even the budget that we have does not make sense. It's a fiction. It's never going to work. Because we know that they are going to spend about 1.3 trillion paying state workers. 1.3 trillion is going to have to go to them. Then when the 450 billion that goes to the counties, when it gets there, how is it spent? If you look at last year, as an example, 44% of every shilling that was sent to the counties was spent on salaries alone. I'm talking about just salaries. We're not talking about any benefits. And remember, the county governments employ just 1% of people that live in their counties. Kiambu, for example, has a population of 2.5 million people. It employs less than 5,000 people. You look at Nairobi, 4.6 trillion. The people that work for the county government are 16,000. So a place like Nairobi, with its 4.6 million people, is spending 55%, and you can see this in the second, screenshot that I posted here. Nairobi is spending 55% of its entire budget to pay 16,000 people. That is 0.3% of the population. And so if you're wondering why you never feel the impact of government, why you never feel the impact of all this money, is because it's going to less than 1% of the population. At the national level, we're talking about 1 billion people, which is less than 2% of the population. At the county government level, you're talking about 1%. So 4.3 trillion we're going to spend, you can see clearly that it is mostly going to benefit 1% or 2% of the population. Again, 1.9 trillion goes to pay debt. And what is that debt about? The debt is because of what we've taken over the last 10 years. That money has not gone to help you, right? It has not built hospitals by and large. We are in debt because we spend so much money paying these people. And so every year we don't have enough money, so we keep borrowing. Like this year alone, we are going to borrow the 1.8 trillion. Why are we borrowing the 1.8 trillion? It's not because we want to build you a hospital that functions. It is not because we want to build you a school. It is not because we want to, increase capitation for students. It is because we insist on paying these people 100 times what the average citizen is making. It is because we insist on not fixing corruption. So the 800 billion that gets stolen every year is still going to get stolen. That's why where we are. And this issue is only going to get worse. So if we are going to spend 4.6 trillion, and much of that is not going to help you. And so we add another 1.8 trillion. So this year we're going to spend 76% of every shilling we make to service this debt issue. When then we go into next year, how much do you think we're going to spend? It'll probably be close to 90%. So whatever we're going to make, 90% is going to go towards debt. How much time do you think we have before we end up as Nepal? In my view, we have no option. And the reason I say that is because we are, by and large, a lawless state. We are a state where law doesn't mean anything. Our county governments, for example, are not allowed to spend more than 35% of their budget on salaries. They are not allowed. It's illegal. And yet they don't give a damn about it. 90% of our counties violate that rule every year, and they do it by a mile. They're not violating by 1% or 2%. Nairobi spends 55% of its budget when the limit is 35. And I really want to make sure that you guys understand the impact of this. Our revenue as a country and even county does not change based on our conduct. The revenue stays the same. What we do with that money is what impacts our ability to serve citizens. So when a governor decides to spend 55% as opposed to 35%, what he's actually doing is stealing from you. Nairobi took 6.7 billion that was supposed to build hospitals and roads and sent it to this 0.3%. So we are seeing that law doesn't mean anything. So at some point, citizens have to say, I mean, we can't, these people are not going to they're not going to obey our laws. So how do we fix that? How do we fix that? Right? This year, the same thing is going to happen again this year. The law says 35%, and I'm telling you, we're going to be talking about this next year, and you will see that the average county spend 45%, 50% of their revenue on salary, which is illegal, right? It's illegal. A government only exists to serve citizens. You cannot call yourself a government when you're spending 50% of the resources on salaries, and then you roam around the world. You end up spending 70% of every shilling on yourself. How is that a government? So I'm telling you that I don't think we have an option. People are going to get to a point where they say, we have no option here. How do we force people to obey the law? How do we do that? Right? So if we can't force it, we're going to need to kick them out, whichever way we can. I'm not calling for violence. I'm just saying that at some point people are going to get tired of it. I am tired of it, and I imagine I'm not the only one. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. As we bring in Ronyo, I just want to look at a comment from Gitobu Imanyara. I think, and we talked about the parliament. I think today we speak of a state of parliament. He says where the house of the people we are talking about is a marketplace, where votes are auctioned, where arrogance and ignorance walk hand in the hand. Where the highest bidder dictates the face of the nation. Parliament, he says, has ceased to be a sacred temple of democracy and has turned into a bazaar of self-interest. Look at when teachers, nurses, ordinary citizens sacrifice daily, yet MPs collect allowances richer than their monthly salaries. We see the imbalance. When the debate that should govern accountable turn into noise and shallow posturing, we witness betrayal. And when oversight committees are reduced to rubber stamp, we experience the collapse of checks and balance. This is just not just this is not just a parliament fault. It is a democracy itself being put at risk. I think in this context, Gitobu Imanyara reminds us that this fall needs to be permanent. Redemption lies in citizen rising up, demanding accountability, refusing to normalize impunity. Integrity must return as a measure of leadership and not greed. I think parliament belongs to the people, not to the politicians. Until we reclaim, Kenya will continue being auctioned at the altar of greed. I think this is what is happening. So, as Ronyo, you come in, do we continue to accept that parliament that conspires against the people, or do we organize to redeem it and force it back to its true purpose, serving the nation? Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Abdi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Uh, I appreciate for the mic, Hillary, and everybody who is listening. And you've asked a very good, very fundamental question. I think the lady who was there before amesema hii colonial language that was forced down our throat is a bigger problem, because we have had people bragging that we
Hello,
from
guys.
this country.
Is it my phone? But I can't hear them.
Yeah, Chacha, you can restart check your app, or you can leave and come back, because I think it is you. We can hear everyone.
I
Chacha,
can
if you
go
can
on,
hear us, you can
Hilary?
drop, then come back. Yes, go ahead, Dronyo.
Thank you, thank you. So I was saying that what Abdi was saying. If we if we have a parliament that does not serve the people, and in both parliaments, and it's not really our problem, because I think the lady who was there, alikuwa anasema we are the problem. But currently, if you are trying to look at the people who are being invited in State House, 10,000, nearly maybe five. So if you're looking at that in the population of 60 million of us, uh, the number in average is insignificant, right? Because if you're going, even the same people, the moment they are leaving State House, they walk out saying one term, already frustrated after eating michele and all that. So it tells you where people are standing. So they are agreeing that we are at the moment, the people are saying yes, we need food, we need to eat, we need to live, we need to go and collect that, probably that 10,000, so that we can pay school fees for our children who because the education system has failed. We need to get that, maybe which is your own taxes, so that you can pay a medical certificate, a medical bill for your relative or yourself. So situation in the country is pushing you there. But Hillary keeps on asking, what is the way forward? And as long as we have people, or as long as we continue having the same people in parliament, and some because currently, if you listen Hillary, the people when they're speaking, you can tell that if we joke, we will have 1,000 of the same type of William Ruto in both houses, and we thinking that we are bringing change, but we replace a problem with another problem. And I think it reaches a point where you say, I think the Nepal way will solve a problem, to tell the leaders that the power belongs to the people. You see now in London, you will see what is happening in Paris. People are going out and they are telling leaders, this country needs to change. You people have been eating a lot. You are, they are, the, we, Somebody said he's going to reduce our debt burden. When he went to power, William Ruto, it was 8 trillion. Now it is 12 trillion. When these guys took power, and I think the problem with us Kenyans is a lot of feelings. We are very emotional. We are controlled by emotion, that we don't even think when we go to ballots, or when we make decisions, because these guys took power from Kibaki when the debt burden was a trillion plus, or maybe less than 2 trillion. But we gave them because we wanted to save them from ICC. We were so emotional. We wanted to save them, and then the country went down. It is going to the dogs ever since. Kibaki was in a position saying, "How can we bring the people, our people who are outside the country, very bright guys, to come back so that they can develop our economy?" But we have people now who are coming and saying, "We want to take our bright guys to go and help other people's economy." You get where the problem is. So unless we bring these people back to their thinking, that even the people who are coming next, the people who are thinking that they are going to bring change to this country, that they will realize that the power belongs to the people, that they are there serving at the interests of people. And unless our to sometimes wapigwa coffee, they will not think hawatafikiria, because they will continue stealing. You look at the parastatals, they are all gone. The sugar factories, they are all gone. Right now, there is a hotel being built in Gong Forest. The where they always announce the election, the bombers is gone. So we are looking at things going, and we are here smiling and saying the problem is not William Ruto. The problem is us. How is it our problem? And we have elected them. It is not our problem. Our problem, our issue ends when we give our taxes. We have contributed our taxes and we have given our share. It is them who have said they have PhD, they have all these degrees and all that. It is them now to put into action whatever they say, their CV, to so that it can work for Kenyans. So if they are saying they are bright, they have all this education, let that reflect in action. So we cannot be separate. We cannot be having our education going to the dogs. We cannot have our health system gone, and then you are bragging that you have all this education and that you need 40 years to solve the problem. 40, you need 40 years, that you're saying in the next 20 years. Where will you be in 20 years? You cannot be the president for the next 20 years. That you're going to change this country in the next 20 years to become Singapore. And you only have a term limit of 5 years. So the problem is not us. Let's not because politics is about opinion, and William Ruto is very good at really at creating an opinion and trying to now the issue, and you're hearing the people who are speaking. They are trying to push the problem. It is Kenyan. It is not us. We should not agree. It is them. We have a problem with them because we have elected them. We are paying them the salary. They have agreed to take the job. The problem is them. So when we have Rasji, who say they want to go to parliament and they want to tell us that it's our problem, it is not our problem. How is it my problem? I'm paying taxes. It is their problem. It is them to do the job, and if they are not doing the job, they should ship out, and we either they either go out with from the ballot, or we go to those houses and remove them because it is our taxes. You see them celebrating their children, buying them Mercedes Benz and all that at our own expense. You know what kind of business are these people doing that they are flying with choppers, they are buying buildings in every city in the world at our own expense. And you're here telling us that the problem is not us, and the problem is us as Kenyans. When we are going, these people, why they cannot even hawezi kuwa na shida kutujengea shule na hospital that looks like cow shit, because their children will never go there. You've seen Buddy going to celebrate her daughter, his daughter in the university in the US, because they don't care whether capitation is there in school. They don't care because their children will never go there. They don't care whether the health system is working because them and their children, they don't go there. The members of parliament have a comprehensive cover. They have a comprehensive cover up to 10 million. 10 million. They can go to any hospital in the world. You cannot go to, you go to Mama Lucy, or you go to Nairobi hospital, or you go to whichever hospital. They're asking you for money. They're asking you for, have you registered for SHA? Pay 6,000 for you to get, make sure they compromise the judiciary so that when they do all this evil against Kenyans, you cannot take them anywhere. So we have a very good constitution. By that constitution, tunaambiwa we respect the constitution. The poor people, the common people, are the one who are going to respect the constitution. But these people are not respecting the constitution. Sometimes some bad things have to happen so that good things can happen. So when people are telling us here, oh, you know what Congo happened, you know whichever country oh, you saw what the country, we have seen Nepal. They have drained the swamp, and the young people are out in the street cleaning the street and setting up their country, and even voting online. We can do the same. What is the problem? So don't come to threaten us that, oh, if you go to Nepal, where the country will go to dogs. No, sometimes it has enough. We have to say enough is enough. Otherwise, we will come here after 2027 yapping again and complaining that the same people are not doing anything. So Rasji, if you want to be the member of parliament in Embakasi, usikuje kutuambia shida ni sisi. Shida ni nyinyi if you are not going to work for Embakasi people. Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
Ronyo, Abdi.
Go ahead, Hillary.
Yeah, Ronyo say something, but I think uh, Ronyo, that's what the secret was saying. I think because uh, do we be like these people? Do we take our time even to clean Nairobi? She gave out example of Nairobi. Nairobi nowadays, ile kutupia watu mafi imerudi, iliisha. It is now there. People wananyang'anywa mchana, si hata ni usiku. Siku hizi watu wangoji usiku. So do we take action? Where do we take action as a people? But you'll come back. I see many people, Abdi, coming in. No, you can give the people who didn't have mic, then we can rotate again.
Asante. Chacha, pick it up from there. And the discussion was about we'd like to hear, do you believe Parliament can truly be redeemed through internal reforms, or has sunk to so deep that only people-driven movement outside Parliament can restore accountability and integrity? Pick it up from there, Chacha, as you give your opening statement on the state of the nation, and then Nderitu, you can, Anna, you can pick it up from there. Asante.
Asante, I think today I like the discussion. We are having both national languages, Kiswahili and English. I think it's in the interest of everybody, even those who are listening anonymously, the people who do listen anonymously. It's been a while since I was on this platform, and thank you very much. I think my state of the nation today, before I come to Parliament as an institution, allow me to go to go to what I thought was really very, very important to me to share here. One is that we saw what happened in Nepal, and if you've been following the protests in Nepal, especially on the social media, there was a hashtag about the Nepo children of the politicians and the flashy lifestyles they lead. And I mean, people could connect the dots and say 1 + 1 is 2. This is our money. And the people were mad and disgusted at it enough. I don't think in Kenya we have enough people who are mad enough. That's my take. But even as I do so, today's state of the nation, I want first to start with the frequent visits by different counties to State House. My own county was there, I think, last week. I come from Bigori County, so the people of the Bakuria, they were in State House, and they got some goodies. Now, what we're witnessing in Kenya today, in my assessment, is a masterclass of political alchemy, the art of turning public desperation into private political capital. I mean, the recent state visits, if there are anything to go by, thousands of citizens have been invited, organized by the local political leaders, and given handouts of 10,000, 5,000, depending on how you're able to bargain. This is not a form of any generosity, or it's not generosity in any form, by the way. This is a symptom of a deeply sick political system, a stark juxtaposition. Is quite old in the market, in the Kenyan political marketplace. It's what a political scientist will call maybe clientelism. It's not a gift. It's not done out of altruism in any way. It's a transaction. The state machinery, which we are funded by, the taxpayers, of course, used to create that benevolence spectacle. Huyu mbunge alikuja akatupatia na empowerment, huyu mbunge ni mzuri, alikuja kwa matanga akatoa 10,000. The MP is delivering the crowd, the president is delivering the cash, and the voter is expected to deliver their vote come 2027. Now, I know that those who think that people will take money and just forget about it. But one thing you have to understand is that the way our brains are wired, and I don't know how many of us have encountered this book by Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. He talks about two systems of thinking. But I want to really focus more on those systems that are very critical in terms of decision making, long term over short term. So what we are looking at is that our brain has been activated to value more short term relief over long term reform. And I'll use this as an example. If you walked into a household and you found that they're not sure about where the next meal is going to come from, and you offered to give them 20,000 shillings to sell you the only piece of land they have, they're likely to do so. Although you will have offered them another option of giving them seeds to plant and maybe they will harvest tomorrow. or after 3 months. That is tomorrow. I mean, it's just an example. So the limbic system, which is short term, is quite emotional. And the moment these guys are receiving the 10,000, the 5,000, the food, the soda, whatever you look at it, the border, the hair dryer, they will have that sentiment of indebtedness. This guy I went, they gave me this. I know some may say, I don't think that's how the Kenyan voter thinks about. You and me might not think that way, but a majority, an overwhelming majority, I dare say, will think that way. So the hook of the handout, when a citizen is facing a genuine economic misery, for example, unable to afford school fees, flour, or whatever, that 10,000, 5,000 offered in cash is not a political offer. It's a lifeline. The survivor of brain doesn't see or calculate long-term consequences. It sees a solution to an acute, a painful problem, which will then trigger a powerful emotional response, relief, gratitude, and a sense of reciprocity. So that's what they're investing in. We might wish it away, but that's the reality. There is a guy who will remember, by this nilienda State House nilikuja nyumbani na kilo 2 ya nyama. You know, so that indebtedness is likely to influence how their voting behavior is going to be in future. Now, they are bypassing rationality. Now, nobody wants to look at it from a lifelong perspective, like what is going to happen after me taking this 10,000. As I come to up this question on Parliament, Parliament ideally is supposed to be supposed to represent the interests of the people. Unfortunately, from their own confessions, those who have been in Parliament before, now, they have confessed taking money, some of them, or missing out on money. Even the head of state has asked whether they received 100, was it 100 million or 10 million? I can't recall the figure, forgive me. My memory is not really helping here. But I think Parliament as an institution, especially those who are in Parliament, they are not there primarily to serve the people. They are there to serve their selfish interests. And of course, they found a system that is working for them. And now, I mean, after a few years, you'll find them, they retire somewhere. Some people have, like, you remember we used to have one of the biggest ranches in Australia. I mean, what stops them from going to Zimbabwe, going to South Africa, going to somewhere where they think there is stability? Now, recently I came across a person whom I will not talk about their name, but they had a plan to invest in Kenya. I think it was around 150 million USD. Not the person themselves, but those who are really working very hard in terms of energy production, generation in the country. But what they were being asked from the powers that be was to give, like, I mean, I give you equity equivalent to between 20 to 30%. That entity has moved to Namibia. I can say that authoritatively because the person who was working on that told me, they said Kenya is so shitty, we're going to Namibia. Now, why am I mentioning power generation specifically? It's because Kenya, the power of 1 kilowatt hour compared to our neighbors is 28 shillings, 29 to be honest. Uganda comes at around 22. Tanzania is at 12. Ethiopia is at 8.5 shillings. Now, as an investor who is really electricity intensive, your consumption is high, you're likely to consider Ethiopia because you're going to save 20 shillings per kilowatt hour compared to when you're operating in Kenya. Maybe the environment might not be really conducive in terms of policy, but there are some trade-off people have to do, especially if you're a business person. Now, the reason I'm saying this is that we have squandered opportunities before, and we cannot even say where the money went. And the money here, I mean the 12 trillion. Whether it's 8 trillion then, now 12 trillion. The reason why I'm saying this, according to the 2019 census report, Kenya by 2019, I think it had something shy of 11 million or 12 million, thereabout, households. If you are to take the 12 trillion, spread it across the 12 million households, We are talking about every household getting 1 million Kenya shillings. On average, a household in Kenya on average has around 4 people, or well, max 5 or so. So you are telling me that every household in the last 10 years or so has actually borrowed internationally and locally 1 million shillings, but they are unable to provide food. They are unable to meet their daily needs. I mean, those of us who come from upcountry and rural areas, we understand what 200,000 shillings can do to any given household. Now, to talk about 12 million, 1 million per household, because that's what we owe per household. In my household, I owe 1 million. Now, if you break it down to per person, I think it's around 300,000. So I hope I can be heard as I land. Hello?
Yes, Chacha, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, fine. At times it's good to be sure, because at times we speak and then we forget that the technology can fail us. So, Abdi, the fact that every household owes a debt of close to 1 million is a huge indictment to our society. And there is nothing to show for it. And the fact that the leadership is just thumping about winning elections, like winning elections has become the ultimate trophy. It is the Champions League trophy for them, not a means to an end. I mean, people come and rub it on your face. I mean, we won. So what? I mean, a man can still win. As I learned, I think as a people, we need to sustain these conversations, but more importantly, have fora where we can actually enlighten those who still believe that the current political system in place, including the judiciary, I'm sorry to say, it's I think it's not infallible. It's going to be our savior. It is wrong. My biggest worry is in the coming years, we will become a shadow of our glory past in the region, and that's not something so nice to say. So I think there is need for deliberate, conscious strategy specifically to unlock Kenya's potential, because I think the political elite have started now seeing the people as a liability as opposed to being an advantage in itself, and that's why there is a lot of clamor and effort being used to send people abroad. I mean, I was listening to Catelo at some point. I think you know this comedian called Catelo, saying that our national anthem, the only line that has meaning is "Oh God of all creation." That the bounty be found in our borders doesn't make sense anymore, because now apparently bounty is found in where? In Dubai, in Qatar. That's why we want to send our people. Live in harmony, unity. That's shield. Justice be our shield. Justice is not there anymore. So what am I trying to say in a nutshell as I land? We have a broken system, and this system has been created by a cabal who have reaped and they continue reaping, and they know if another system comes into power, they are likely to be held accountable. So they will fight their last drop of blood to retain power, as long as they can protect what they have looted, what they have stolen, what they have basically all the plan that they have made, they are not held accountable. And I hope one day we will have a genuine conversation and say, we cannot sanctify yesterday's villains. What do I mean by that? And I land in 1 minute. There is a gentleman called Dr. Kingori who holds this show on, he has podcasts. So he was at one point he was hosting Lee Njiru, who was I think the press secretary to Moi. And when I looked at the comments and the way we were whitewashing what they were doing, I mean, Lee Njiru is admitting that they did some illegality, you know, but we are saying, I mean, it's okay, laughing about it. Be it Karume, what was the former Attorney General. So what we need to do is that if we have these bad characters, these villains in current regimes, current administration, former administration, let that label remain. I mean, you can imagine tomorrow, Hussein Mohammed, who is the current equivalent of Lee Njiru, coming 20 years from now, telling us how they were able to play Gashagwa, to play Kenyans, you know, and then we clap like, what the fuck is, oh, sorry, in my language, what's wrong with us? So let the villains remain villains. Do not baptize them. Let us call them out. Whether they are 90 years, whether they are 70 years, let them remain villains as such. So thank you very much. I have no much hope as the current parliament as constituted. I hope that we'll be able to get people who are genuinely determined going forward to protect the interest of the Commonwealth. Thank you, and I
Okay,
land.
Chacha, I have this question. So I completely agree with you what we are seeing with these frequent visits and how down, as you clearly put it, it's not generosity. I think you said it is being weaponized in a political capital. MPs, I like the part which is very true that you said the MPs are mobilized to deliver the crowd, the executive deliver the cash, the voter is conditioned to vote. I think this is the cycle, 100%. It is the old transactional trick that you said as it is designed to keep people dependent from that book on a short-term relief while avoiding the longer overhaul. So I think this cycle keeps our mind indebted to the poverty instead of empowering us to break from it. But my question to you is, how do we as citizens begin to dismantle the culture of transactional politics and shift the conversation from handouts to real structural reforms that uplift people and bring about sustainability? Two.
I think that's a fair question to ask. And my only hope, at least for now, when I was reading Darren Acemoglu, those of us who have read that book, Why Nations Fail, I have hope that when people have some degree of education, or rather I hope so, some degree of education, and that's why you can see the level of political awareness, especially among the Gen Zs, the young people, you cannot compare that with the oldies. It doesn't mean that to exclude the oldies, we need them, of course. But the level of education, if people get some level of education, they become politically aware of what is happening. But most importantly, if people are able to get livelihoods, the problem is if people are denied opportunity, then they are able to, they can actually, I think it's Jayan, the witch doctor story I read when I was in high school by Samuel Tutuola, who was able to pawn himself to 10 pawn brokers. So I want to pawn myself to Raila Odinga, I want to pawn myself to Rigathi Gachagua, to whoever, as long as they give me money. And we've seen them. Nyerere, the late president of Tanzania, calls them wanasiasa wenye tabia za kimalaya. Now, what I think the way forward is for us, those of us who are able to read between lines and see the lie that they have been propagating, call it out when it is said, and let the people know. And I hope I will reach a point where we'll hold leaders accountable for their actions, whether in office or not. In fact, I was seeing the other day my former governor Kotobado, crying in court because he's been there is a guy who doesn't want that case dropped for whatever reason. But if it is that place where they are constantly either in prison or in court, they have no forum to come and sanitize themselves, deny them opportunity, even in the mainstream media, social media, they become pariahs that they are. The challenge we have right now is that they're pariahs, they have leprosy. Sorry if any one of you or any one of us have ever suffered from leprosy. I didn't mean to in any way to insinuate that I discriminate or against the people who have leprosy, but these are pariahs. Let them be treated as pariahs as such, whether in churches. I mean, let us call them out. Zakayo had to give out 4 times what he had stolen. I mean, let them give us not 4 times. We just want to only what they have stolen. That's what we're asking for. Because 12 trillion, 1 million per household is not the money that I can reconcile, because I can't see that money going to our family at any given point in any way. So education and livelihoods.
Asante sana. Before I go to Hannah, I saw these 2 hands up for a long time. Ras, I give you 1 minute. Academia, I give you 1 minute, and then we go to Hannah. So very quickly, Asante.
Once again, Abdi, thank you so much. I hope I'll do it in a minute. I came to respond to Sigrid. I think she has dropped, and Ronyo, and I'll start with Sigrid. I understand the mental fatigue. She has talked of big English and stuff, and I know many Kenyans are at this particular moment kuna people, we all invested our emotions, we all invested finances and all those stuff toward the movement. And the big question, and like I said, Hillary, and you can go to even the TL, you will confirm that. How are we able to rise above those, or we are still there? That is a question that I would want to pose. Now, Abdi, the reason why I said that is I want to quote a quote by a very known author that said that people that elect thieves, traitors, and imposters, they are not. They are accomplices in the whole mission. And Ronyo came here and said they elected Uhuru Kenyatta because they wanted to save Uhuru Kenyatta from the ICC. And it points to a very bigger picture and a broader problem that we are having as a country. We have not yet come out of our tribal cocoons. We have not come out of, we will pretend when come to these spaces. But once we retreat from these spaces, we will go and converge in another corner, start talking in our own mother tongues. We start demeaning other tribes and stuff. If we can decide to bite the bullet and talk the reality, then you can lecture me on how to change governance issue in the country. I know many, and those who have heard me throughout kutoka nyuma, June, mpaka wakati huu, I stand here and I still confirm. I'm one of the strongest believers that I can say I have never believed in Ruto presidency at all. I did not
Okay.
start yesterday, June last
You're
year.
past the minute.
I was I dismissed William Ruto presidency. I disagreed with the Jubilee back then, and I still do that. So let us be honest, Abdi, as we and also entertain a debate whereby convergent views can be accommodated. Yeah, that's the kind of, we are avoiding a situation of whipping emotions, bringing the Charles Kirk incident in the United States to Africa, whereby individuals, because of emotions, you refuse to engage constructively and resort into something else that can be very catastrophic for this
Okay.
particular nation.
Asante sana for that response. Academia, 1 minute, please, and then I go to Hannah quickly.
Yes, Abdi, actually you asked something, but I don't know whether I can be able to execute it in a minute. But let me
Can
just
you
quickly,
come after Hannah then?
one. Okay, sir.
Okay, Hannah, pick it up.
Okay, one. Let me go quickly. One.
Okay. Then.
You are asking about the legality of the e-procurement and the panel of experts.
Yes.
So one, the panel of experts is perceived to be duplicating the role of Kenya human rights. So the legality around it is whether or not it will override or the president can use it to duplicate the roles of those offices or commissions that are established by constitution. That is to be determined by court. That is the legality that somebody can move to court to seek. Then when it comes to the e-procurement under the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015, the e-procurement is emphasized, but the law also allows those who can not access e-procurement to do the manual. So the problem is where if you mandate or force people to use or go e-procurement without allowing those who are not able to use e-procurement to use manual, that's where the problem is. And that's where you can see the county, the governors are against that. But they're supposed to use the e-procurement. The law also allows them, people who are not able to use one way or the other can still use manual procurement. So that is the constitutional issue about that e-procurement. And I think under 1 minute, that's okay. That is what I can
Do you
say.
think there was no like a due process done? There was no a pilot program done, just like the way we did. We messed with NHIF and SHIF. Just you want to start the same thing instead of really like having some counties do a pilot to see whether this even works. Do you think the
You
courts
see,
have the courts have jurisdiction to put an injunction and have all this looked at from the other parties?
you see, that is true. You see, when you want to introduce a new, though,
Do you
the
think also,
law,
my other question to you very quickly, do you think also a public participation is needed?
yes, for the parties involved. Yes, yes, I believe so, and that court, the court can determine. Though the act does not have explicitly the clause where it mandates the training prior to using e-procurement of the system, but it emphasizes on the need for the public entities to have the capacity to conduct that procurement through electronic system. In other words, if you introduce a new system and people are not conversant or do not have the knowledge about it, you have to train them. And in the absence of that, it is now illegal for you to use, because you can only use what you understand. You cannot use what you don't understand. And even under the regulation of the act, because regulations are a part of subsidiary legislation that derive their validity from statutes. That is the act itself. So under the regulation, that is the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Regulation 2020, emphasizes on the need to train people under the professional development skills. So you can go move to court once people are not trained on the way to use e-procurement. So I think that's where the problem is. It's not that it is illegal to introduce e-procurement, because that's what the law emphasizes on. They are supposed to use to bring the accountability, transparency, and efficiency in the public sector. But now people who cannot access this e-procurement, or people who do not understand it, you will limit people who are supposed to participate by the mere fact that they don't understand the system. Not that the system is bad, but they don't understand. And the law recognizes that there are places where people will not be able to access this service, and therefore there is need to allow those people to use manual. That is the thing. So they have to integrate too.
Okay.
They have to allow to. Yes. But for people who understand the system, it's okay. But for people who do not have access, who do not understand it, they should be allowed. The law allows them to use manual, provided the procedures are followed, both electronic and manual. That's the most important thing.
Okay, there is a Honorable Paul Muite here who says, let me just read it to you on the e-procurement. I think, let me read his comment. I don't know, I had it around. He says the e-procurement. I think one, he says the national and the county governments are co-equals. National government can't dictate to development, can't dictate to development government on this issue. E-procurement gives the presidency through the CS and PS Treasury stronghold on tender in development, in national development and payment. It will kill devolution, and it's both corrupt. I don't know, what is your view on that?
Abdi, I think for me, people interpret these things depending on how they look at it. But what I know is the law allows both e-procurement and manual. But most importantly, it emphasizes on the need of e-procurement to minimize the use of paperwork, and again make it transparent and accountable in terms of real time, so that you don't need to call somebody to check whether your papers are in order or that. So those are the things they are trying, just to bring transparent accountability into the public service.
Yeah. So
And therefore, the only problem I have, the way I agree with him is that because these are independent institutions but interdependent. In other words, there are certain things that the county can do on their own, but that does not mean the national government does not have a say over those things, because the law provides us as much. So I think in terms of procurement, there is guidelines both for the national and the county. All are that binds all. So the county people feel that the e-procurement, they still don't have that capacity to use that and therefore they require more time to be well conversant and make certain changes that will make it accessible to them. I think that's the most important thing. But they cannot say they cannot use the e-procurement because that is what the law requires to do. In the long run, we will move away from the manual once everything is set in place. For now, it is not yet implemented fully. So they will be allowed to use manual, and you cannot bar them from using manual because that's what the law says. Both e and both electronic and manual. The law allows both in the event that you feel what you feel comfortable with, actually. But in the long run, we will have to go to e-procurement once everything is in order, because that again, that's the law.
Asante sana, thank you. Hannah, pick it up from there.
Hi. Um, e-procurement. It will not work in Kenya as okay, maybe national level, but not into the county level because the kilowatts that we are producing in terms of energy is not enough for everybody to be covered. That is one of the things that is a little bit complicated. So, and then we are going to marginalize some people because there are areas which do not have lights. So, how are they going to work if they cannot even be able to manage to go into the system? Then we already have a problem already with the SHA. When it goes down the system, we already have hospitals which cannot even access your dossier. So that means you have to pay. So you see, again, the problem goes around and round. Unless we have to make sure that the grid is covered, everybody is covered by the grid. And anyway, here tutaona with time. And then on top of that, we have an issue also with the security of the information of the people. Where are you going to store the information of the people? Who is going to be able to take care of that from cyber attacks? How is it sure? So these are the issues that are supposed to be talked about also in parliament, which we have a parliament which is not actually a parliament. We have dunderheads there. And now comes my issue, which is here in the now. Rasji has been talking about us taking things slowly, not going on the streets and all that. Okay, fine. Okay. But I have a question to Hillary. Hillary, how many people who have declared they want to be in government that you know, the new ones, have given you information on what they are going to do when they become members of parliament or when they are in government? That's just a simple question. Or Abdi,
Yes.
how many?
Go ahead. I didn't hear the question.
The question is simple. Up to this point, how many people who have come to these spaces, who you have known that want to go to parliament or want to join the government, have given you or any of you the information on what they are going to do when they go there?
Very few, very few. I think that scrutiny is coming, as Hillary also said. So.
Yeah. That will say that from next year we are going to focus on that. For those who want to get into power, because now we are talking the state of the nation, and I know many people will be will so many people here want to go to the offices, the same offices.
Yeah.
What are the changes they're going to bring? So that one is coming next year.
So far, no. Let's say how many people you know. I'm just giving an estimation because this is what I want to understand from what Rasji is trying to tell me. Because I think we are going to have a problem between me and him and Ronyo and other people because he's taking things personal and we are not taking things personal. So I have this question is what is going to determine what I want from what I want to say. So far in this space of yours, how many people have actually said they want to contender and have given you an idea on what they are going to do when once they go to power.
None so far. There's a lot. There's governor contenders. There's a lot of people who have a vision
None.
for everywhere, but are like, yeah, but are like, we didn't see an actual vision that people are there for change and they really want to bring the
So here we are. Thank you, Abdi. Here we are. Some people are here to get keep and tell us not to talk too much, not to go to the streets, not to do. But when we are asking them what are they going to do when they go in parliament, majibu zenye tunapatiwagwa ni ya madharau. Mtu anakuandikia anakuambia, do not tell me I'm the one who is in the ground and I'm the one who's going to do the talking to my people, so you have no legal obligation because you are a diasporian. You see, these are things that when you hear coming from people, and I'm talking to you, Rasji, because it's very, very hard to talk to you, because right now you are calling Ronyo tribalist in such a way that I do not find it to be enticing. It is just becoming too much, because what it's just like gatekeeping us from doing what we are supposed to do as civic people. When you ukiwa na problem, for example, on your feet, you go to the doctor and the doctor says you have a injury or something, he's going to treat you from inside outside. He will not treat you on top of it, hiyo ya juu, and then inside akuache na usaa and everything. This is the issue. We have a system that is not working for Kenya as we speak right now. The people who are going to the parliament, who want to go to parliament, actually do not have an idea. They have not arranged themselves. They have not done anything that, okay, we are talking about the issues, but they have not actually put themselves in a way whereby we are, even as we say, sasa, anyway, they are coming with a good what do we call it? A good something which is going to make me say, now yenyewe sitaenda kwa street, now I'm going to be doing everything possible so that Chacha becomes the next member of parliament. Because what Chacha has told me is actually the real thing that I'm going to go for. So I will not go on the streets. I will never go on the streets again, because now I believe Chacha is going to do it for me. So you see, this is where we have a problem. So you can do whatever you want to do in your area, Embakasi and the others, but please do not tell us how to behave, because we are not seeing what you are doing. And when we're telling you what you are doing is not what we are seeing, you are angry with me. The same way Rigidi is coming out and saying, do not go on the streets because we want you to wait for 2027. Let me ask. So those people who are going to go to get help in SHA and they find themselves they are not going to access that health system, they have to wait until 2027, a system which is broken. Those who are in asking for help, they cannot be able to be given help because the system is broken. So they have to wait until 2027 so that you or Rigadi or whoever who is going to come will, of which even them, they have not talked about those issues. Rigadi is only talking about one issue so far I have had up to this point. It's talking about the issue of, what do you call this, pay slip and the housing levy. That's the only thing. So it is kind of bizarre, let me put it like that. It's kind of unwarranted for you to come and tell people how to behave instead of you telling yourself how to behave. When you come to a space like this, wherever person, you unakuza, because you know you do not have all the information. You are learning from others. You are putting your mind to what other people are saying, because you have to listen, because some of them come from these places where they are being touched by these issues, and you're compiling that information to make a story, to make a beautiful information or agenda for them. But when we come here and we talk and then we are being thrown names at sijui umetoka diaspora, wewe haujawahi vote kwenda huko, sijui mwingine anakuita tribalist,
Anna,
you become angry.
Anna, before you finish, I think everybody' opinion is okay, and the way you look at things may be totally different. But the question is, what are the action points? Because I think
Action points.
yes,
This is the
yeah,
this is the action
yeah,
point.
the way forward.
Those
Yeah.
who want to vie, they can come and tell us what they want to do, and we will listen and we will see if it is in accordance with us. Those who will not vie, they will do what they are needed to do, their civic duty. If it is going on the street, we will go on the street, and we do not need anybody to tell us what to do. And those who want to call us because we are in diaspora so that we can, hey, hiyo mwache, hiyo tabia mwache. Kwanza uache kabisa. Rasji, I'm talking to you.
No, no, no.
Because you
We
are
had
against.
that one. I think.
No, I have to say it because this is not
Yeah,
the
but
first
now
time. It's
that
not
is
the second
personal,
time.
and then pressure point lose.
It is not. It's not a question of personal because let me say this, Hillary. Do you know how many people are in diaspora and how much people have have given in their time, their energy, their money? It seems like the Kenyans who are in diaspora, they are not Kenyans. This is what I am getting out from some people.
Okay.
So it's as though because you are in diaspora, you have no say and you should not talk because you are not on the ground. And this is what we are fighting also at the same time. So we are not here to fight people who are on the ground. We just have to have this symbiosis whereby a Kenyan is a Kenyan. It doesn't matter where you're coming from.
You are right.
And this I have to say it for real, especially you, Rasji.
Thank you so much.
I
Ngoja
have
ngoja
a
ras,
right.
ngoja tu tukienda hivyo tutaribu. Ana kunywa maji kidogo. I hear what you're saying, and I think there's something that was not right there. So Sam Mokaya, uh, what is your take on the state of the nation, of what the things that's happening, and what are the action points? And I know maybe you are seeking something on parliamentary coming 2027. What's your take on what is happening? And then Tom Boyer. Mm.
Thank you, Hilary. Action points is people should register as voters. The registration is coming up soon. Advise many people, those that are not registered, to register as many as they can. You can be the voice on the ground. Do that. Number two, sometimes I feel attacked as a voter. You know, in 2022, I voted in a new member of county assembly. I voted in a new member of National Assembly. I replaced senator. Then I had a new governor. I had a new president, but I didn't vote for him. I still want to be given that opportunity in 2027. I want to apply my mind. Whoever feels he's good enough, he's allowed to come forth and seek for my vote and convince many of us from Kisii County to vote for him. I still want to hold dear to that ability to do it. The very people who voted in William Ruto in 2022 have not come out to revoke that vote by word of mouth or even apologize. They've always said that William Ruto is a bad president. The way you voted him in, you can vote him out. People had their voice heard in 2002 when they voted against a sitting president and a child of a former president. That was Uhuru Kenyatta. The same people voted in a new constitution in 2005, in 2010. The same people voted in no in 2005. So people can vote and they can make change through the ballot. The same people voted in William Ruto in 2022 against a sitting president, a very powerful former prime minister, a former vice president, supported by Mother Karua. I mean, people did it. Against all that, they voted in William Ruto as president. They can do it in 2027 if they want to. So people should not come here and play victim. Oh, we cannot do it because now he's become president. You can if you want to. So don't tell us that, we must go to the streets and then we must hold someone out of office, vote him out. That is the only way we have in the constitution. Unless if you want to tell us to put this constitution aside and go that other route. I'm not ready for that. But I'm not saying that people should not go out to the streets and demand for accountability for the people in office. They should do that all the time. Finally, William Ruto must fight to win the next general election. The people who went to State House, Kisii County has about 600,000 registered voters. The people who were accommodated in the State House recently were about 5,000 people. So if you tell me that 5,000 people are the majority and therefore William Ruto is going to win because he accommodated 5,000 people at State House, you will be lying to me. That would be a big lie. We are 600,000 people. He cannot accommodate all of us. So if majority feel that they will give him another chance, that is up to them. And that is democracy. There are many people who will step forward to convince us to vote for them. If those that have a contrary opinion from what I have carry the day, so be it. Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you so much, sir. I like the point that you're saying that 5,000 people were taken to the to the State House, but the population is 600,000. It means that only a fraction is not even a fraction. It's 0 point something, maybe. So it is high time for I think the action point, and we've been calling this one, that these young people are saying that they're GenZs and everything, and they're saying that they need change and everything. Do they take votes? Do they have vote? Actually, the by-elections are coming. We want to see are they going to make this thing? Vote and linda hiyo kura, ngoja hiyo kura hapo hesabiwe vile unataka. Kama ni kuiba wanaiba, you know. It is high time. The test is here with us. And we don't want to come here again after 2027 crying on the same things, guys. All right, Tomboy.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I want to be brief. Just want to share some food for thought, especially on this, the proposed e-procurement system, Yagava. I'm just wondering, especially when I hear that part of what the e-procurement system aims to achieve is to avert corruption. I really wonder how that is going to work. Because indeed, if we have integrity issues, then systems, how sophisticated they are, cannot necessarily return to us our integrity. So if at all there is a political goodwill to make sure that things to do with corruption are fully fought and other irregularities, then the constitution should be applied to make sure that those who are culpable are already jailed. So I don't really believe that this one is going to help us. We are having a government which is bringing up different technological approaches to its management, e.g., the SHA that just came in, and you saw a lot of billions are already lost in it. The government itself is not even taking it serious to tell Kenyans how and why such amounts are being stolen from it. And now we are here. We also know about the e-citizen, the stealing that has been going on there. Now we are bringing the e-procurement. How are we going to trust this? I also understand that the e-procurement aims to ensure that county governments are also onboarded in this? Is this not going to interfere with the independence of this county government? Are we really devolving governance? I'm wondering how this one is going to work. So that's an area I wanted us to think through. Another thing that I can say as far as the state of the nation is concerned is that where I sit, I still believe that if we are going to be comfortable getting back to our ways of doing politics, saying that let us now prepare for the 2027 election, let us prepare to vie for different positions, then it's like we are having a chronic infection, or let's say a bacterial infection, but we are just treating some of the symptoms by simply taking Panadol. There is a deep rot in the political systems that we are operating in. As much as we can have people with integrity, people with the track record, joining the government through different positions, then they are still obviously going to be compromised. You'll just have to fall within a particular box, whereby if you are an ODM member, you are a Jubilee member, you must first forget your personal integrity and your thought pattern to behave according to how people do behave while you are inside there. Therefore, I don't trust that we just need people with integrity to get into the office, but we need to overhaul the system. We've been made to believe that when you come with good manifestos to explain what you are going to do to the people, then we need to consider you. That is something that even the informed people are still championing, that is the right approach that we need to take. While we know that in politics, those who are good orators, you can just package your information, even if it is a lie, you package it so well, and you'll influence people to support you. While what we really need to do is that the Constitution, the way it was written, it speaks to a lot of things. I believe that if we can just have leadership that is strict in implementing the Constitution the way it is, there are a lot of manifestos in that Constitution. We should not be told what someone is going to do. So that's a part of what I believe in. I'm getting busy. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I would have continued. Thank you.
You are getting busy.
Yes, I'm here to serve someone. Yeah.
All right. All right. Yensa. Yensa. Kim.
Wagwan,
Habari yako?
niko fresh, mko fiti?
Tuko sawa kaka.
Sasa mimi hapa, I'd want to say we have so many ideas and we are really thinking about our country, but cha ukweli vitu kwa ground is not the same. Vitu kwa ground, when you look at politics, it is the politics of elites. When we look at the terms and the things that we are speaking, ni vitu kubwa kubwa. And for us to be able to go back to the ground and for us to be able to resonate with the state of the nation in Kibra, in Kawangware, in Kayole, we really need to find out and think about what do these voters think. And for me, Hillary and Abdi, I don't believe in voting, because voting, for me, you vote when you know what you're doing. But in Kenya, we always vote based on tribalism. We always vote based on who has more qualifications. We always look at who has more money yenye atatupatia. But when we think about a republic, we are not ready to be a republic. We are not yet a republic. We are not even a democratic country. Because when we talk about democracy, we should be talking about, if I am going to vote, I am going to vote for Ras G because I know what Ras G has done and I know his tracking records. If I'm not going to vote for Nderitu, umeingilia sana Ras G anyway. I'm not going to vote for Nderitu because I understand maybe vitu ambazo amefanya. For instance, it's a very good example. When you look at Baraza, Nick, I don't know, the guy who killed someone. How do you even vote for that guy? When you look for Babu Owino, how do you vote for Babu Owino? I know it's something that watu watakuwa wanashanga, but you've already shown what you can do as a leader. You're not supposed to be given another opportunity unless there is something that is different. And there's someone who has talked about Ruto. He was voted in, voted out, hizo vitu zote. What we need to understand, guys, is Kenyans are not in the same equality as we think. Those many voters do not even know who they are voting for. That's why you will hear people sing ba 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 ba. And in Kibera, where I come from, they vote 6 pieces. They vote huyo nini Raila, sijui ni nani. They don't even know who you are. As long as it is ODM, that is the way to go. So we need to change on how we are educating our people. Even the IEBC, the Independent Electoral Body, they are mandated to educate people on what civic engagement is. They are mandated to educate people on who a president is, what a coalition is, what a constituency is. People on the ground, they don't know about these things. People are thinking about 2027, and that's why we will not be able to move on, because we have a structured government that has plans for Kenyans. They know on Monday what they're going, the headlines that are going to be there. 4 weeks ago, we all knew that they talked about MPs being bribed, talking about e-citizen, talking about Chan, talking about, so every single week we have new strategies and new things zenye zinazungumziwa. But the important things that are supposed to be talked about, how are people voted in, how do these people understand voting. It is something that we take it for granted, but for guys, I'm here to tell you, vijana, they want right things, but they don't know where the right things are. And then education is being diminished. Watu wanachezea education. To an extent, people in Kenya, we don't read. And the only way we can find information and the only way we can know how we are moving as a country is by reading. Not so many people like reading, and our government is putting us in the hole again by not paying for free primary education. So education is something that we should really be focusing on, and how do we explain to people? How do we educate people? Maanake mtu akiingia hapa hivi kwa space, kama mtu ajui English, ana drop out. Manaki, when you look at what academia, the eloquence of information he's saying in English, where you run away. When you look at what Boniface is saying in terms of hesabu, man, I will run away. You're talking about billions, you're talking about how money should be used, but mimi siwezi elewa. And that is something that I have known. Politics is a boring thing. But in Kenya, politics is not boring. Why? Because we hear what we want to be told. Tutajenga nyumba, tutafanya nini? That is the thing that we have to really focus on and how to address. Looking at our government, looking at our structure, we have independent people who can vie, but we are all clogged in within a party. UDA, whether we go north or south, at the end of the day, the executive will have to control the legislature because wao ndo wamepigiwa kura wengi. ODM, whether we go north or south, ODM will still go to bed with the government, whichever year they come into place. Why? We have structured ourselves to be a majority country, whereby as long as you are a majority, hata kama huna akili, wewe ndo unaenda mbele. That is the country that we have. That is the democracy that we have. We don't have a democracy whereby we see things physically, we see how it is moving, and then we say, bana wewe hatupigi kura kwa sababu umefanya A, B, and C. We always put kura based on 51 plus without thinking. That's why bragging inaendelea kukua in this country. Another thing, when you look at the procurement, let's remember in 2019, Kenyans, we like being reactive and we are not active. We like complaining and we don't follow up. It's just some few months ago we talked about how people were being surveilled. This is Huduma number, this is Maisha number. We talked about the Data Protection Act of 2019. This is something all Kenyans, we all know and we've heard about it. Procurement is not coming all the way from nowhere. It is coming from this centralized system. It is coming from this Huduma number, hii Maisha number yenye tumefanya nini, tumekuwa tuki-ignore. So it is a structured thing and it is being pushed by the external, the international. when you look at Sustainable Development Goal 2030, they're looking for one country, one currency, one central government, so that we can be able to be controlled. All these things are things of control. It's not about accessibility. It's not about those people who do not have identification cards. How are they going to vote? For them, it's not about that. For them, it's about ni nini inaingia kwa mfuko yangu, ni nani anapewa pesa mzuri. Unaona? So if we don't talk about how we are going to empower the people on the ground so that they can have equity, then we will always be having this pressure points zikitupanda, pressure zinapanda sana, because democracy yetu manzee haiwork. Corruption is too much. And why is it too much? Because Kenyans, we ourselves, whoever that was saying it is not Kenyans, Ronyo, you have to go back and see it is us Kenyans. Yule mwenye anaenda kuchukua tenda pale county government, it is us, the person who is signing or writing what the president is going to read as a gazette. That's a person in the middle class and understands what's happening. The person who's preventing us from knowing the truth on what is happening in State House. It is the same Kenyans that we are. So we need to change our habits. We need to change on how we handle issues. Like Ndiritu Hana, you mwongea direct. You've addressed issues na hizo ndo vitu zenye Kenyans we don't like. We like being pampered, unaelezewa polepole, unaambiwa wewe ni mjinga ukipanguzwa. If you're a fool, you're a fool. You just need to pick it up and become a strong person and do what we're supposed to do. So my last take will be, let's continue with these pressure points, but let's address issues on how we are going to have a good government. Because mambo ya kupiga kura, the person who prints the papers, the person who arranges where the papers are going to come, it is still the same government that we are saying. Who is the leader? It is still Ruto. So whether we want it or not, we're still going to have the same shit. Oh, sorry, the same problem that we have been facing as Kenyans, because kuambiwa ukweli imekuwa ni tatizo kubwa na implementing ukweli pia imekuwa ni tatizo kubwa. Thank you.
Hey, Kim. Thank you. Umesema Wakenya wataki ukweli na ukiambiwa ukweli wanakasirika, lakini nyuma tuko hapa. We'll pressure it. We'll make sure the pressure goes down. People are fatigued and everything, and now we need to face it head on. Dr. Kimani,
Yeah.
your hand was up. Abdi, you talk somebody.
I think we are on the top of the hour, and my other comment would be around I hear the frustration. I also recognize that people have different views. I think it's important we allow each voice to be heard without judgment. I think I would say respectful dialogue keeps the space constructive, ensures even in disagreement we don't lose sight and the bigger goal, building and understanding solutions altogether. Asante sana Hilary, as we are almost coming to the close of the hour, take over. Asante.
Dr. Kimani, go ahead.
Asante sana, Hilary, for that. And Abdi, I see all the speakers, salute to all. And I think I just want to pick on a few things that, we need to pay attention to, because as a pressure point and, looking at the state of the nation, where we try to get some solutions to the challenges facing our country, Kenya, um, I think we need to look at the bigger picture as we started looking at it as has been said, we'll continue doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. For example, now, and this is why I opened my statement by, we will not, or it will be my suggestion that Kenyans look at people who are supposed to go into positions of leadership and avoid at all cost recycling them, because there is no way you will do the same mistake and expect a different solution for whatever you've done. No, it will not happen. So recycling has to stop. But if you do not want to do the leadership or politicians recycling, but all of us are politicians, but those who get into positions of delegated power to be our voices in that space, we need to look at, have they been making the right decisions on our behalf? And if you're able to do that, then we can deduce and say, okay, fine, there will be no need of you representing us again. I know, as it has been said here, people will be given money, and that will be always their reference point. Huyu alinisaidia wakati nilikuwa. But unasahau kwamba if that situation never got you in the first place, you wouldn't be there. Because currently walimu wamepatiwa 100 million. Hiyo hapo, hiyo shimo imetolewa pesa. Don't you think it's going to affect you otherwise? Alafu useme mtu fulani alikupatia do. The other thing, as we also, and we have to talk the truth that's been said, right? When you look at the CDF, for example, that is where I find so many people being stupid. And you forgive me for using that word, because I have looked for other better word than sijapata. That you start praising somebody for giving you CDF money. Like how, like that is your own money. That's money that's supposed to go and support those projects and systems that are even huko mashinani. Hata watu wa Nairobi wanafanya huu ufala, know. So those are some of the things that we need to start interrogating. And I like the discussions that we are holding, that we are having over time. We never had opportunities of having such discussions in the past, but there is always that one first time, getting things right. And I think if we keep on discussing, enlightening each other, whether we agree to disagree or we agree to disagree or whatever we want to do respectively, it will come to fruition by the end of the day, because what you know I do not know, what I know you do not know, na tukiendelea na kuelimishana, life will be easier. Lastly, I wanted to mention that Kenya things can work, whether we bring systems that are e-system. In Kenya, if you want to trade with somebody in Mandela, or the most remotest part of Kenya, say Baragoi, for example, those people will still receive money through M-Pesa and other mechanisms that have been put. So it's a matter of us being creative, and things can work in this way. Because I believe if we are to eliminate the factor of cash money in our system, in our economy, it might streamline things. Unfortunately, we streamline them into a place that is going to end up by somebody who is very, very stupid and clever in Nairobi to save on that money. So we must therefore start fixing those loopholes at the end, at the back end, not at the source. That's number one. And those are discussion we need to start having, not blaming, huo ni mtu anakuwa mjanja Kenya. Kenya kila mtu anakuwa mjanja. We make systems and then everybody is looking, what is the loophole that I can get through this? Because it happens all the time. Unaambiwa msiende kuchota mchanga mtoni, watu wanachota mchanga, alafu wanaangalia ni njia gani watu wa scale hawako. We are always looking for loopholes and always looking for the shortcuts, and then we are complaining by the end of the day. It's a thing we are so much used to it, and that's how sometimes we get very comfortable by abnormal situations. Lastly, if you look in the past government, for example, and this is one example that has been used over and over again, say, for example, the county of Makueni. Makueni, under the leadership of Professor Kivuda Kibwana, it was functioning. In fact, at one point, he was so strict that they wanted to impeach him, and Uhuru was ready to scrap off the county or whatever, dissolve kitu kama hiyo, and Kivuda was okay. You go on, guys. You don't want me to do whatever I need to do or what is supposed to be done. Then sote tunaenda. By the end of the day, what happened? Walinyorosha hiyo county mpaka ikakuwa the county of kuangaliwa. Hospitals ziko zinafanya maembe iko pale inafinywa mpaka inatoa machozi ya juice. Things can work if we get people who can do the job. We have to stop being lazy in how we think, in how we approach issues. Now we have to be focused by all means possible. Because hakuna vile tutaanza kushindana na hata kuna pesa mingi na hata kuna pesa kidogo. If I come in as a Nigerian governor and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, come whip me out. Kwani lazima nikuwe hapo? I must not be there. And those are the things that we must develop and be able to approach this leadership the way we give them. Kama unaamka saa 11 kuja kupigia kura, and then the end of the day nakuja na kupatia matope in terms of sentiments, I'm just insulting you. huku nichagua niende pale nianze kufanya madoido ya catwalking, and if I go there and I need to have your support so that we can do the right things for the right people for the future generation. Otherwise we have no country after 10 years after this, because sasa deni kikuja, kama mtu tumeambiwa kila mtu akona milioni moja ya deni, na mimi mwenyewe hata sijaishi hiyo Kenya for more than 1 year. Sasa mimi na deni ya kazi gani? You know what I mean? So let us. I love the pressure point. I think here, Abdi, this is good conversation. I'm putting it. It's a very good conversation we are having, and we shall continue doing it, but within the frameworks of our constitution, and we must uphold it. And anybody who is going against it, by the way of their speaking or by the way of their words, actions, we must interrogate that and put into account all systems of government. For example, how, and somebody asked here, how can you be said to have been corrupt, charged, and yet you come and we elect you to positions of leadership to continue stealing from us? Ay, wajinga ni sisi. But anyway, thank you so much and have a good one, Abdi, Harry, and all that.
Asante
That
sana,
is the
asante sana Dada Kimani. Anna, your hand was up before Tom went academia.
Oh yes, you asked previously a question about what we are going to do about these people who are going to state house. They are given 10,000, wanaambiwa dance and all that. They are going there because of money, and not going there because they like the guy, but they are also going there because they have this kwenda kuona mkubwa initiative. You are next. Mystify this by first stopping calling these people by the honorary names. Hizo ndio vitu zinafanya watu wanakuwa na distance from the people. We have to have a government whereby it's relatable to the people. You can go to your member of parliament and your member of parliament can serve you as much as the people in the county, they can serve you. So if it is rapproché, if it is next to you, if the government is next to you, then you will not see that big deal seeing the president. You will not see that big deal seeing the vice president. But we have that relationship where mkubwa yuko huko juu na sisi tuko hapa chini, and so that euphoria is the one which is also making Kenyans to want to go there. There is a second thing. We have to change in school. This CBC, tunajua very well, it was not made by us. That's a fact. So we cannot create, or we cannot be brought a system from outside na muambio, now take it, it is yours, use it, and you will see the kind of products of kids you're going to bring in the country. Right now, I was even expecting the professors who are in the universities, they are making a different kind of CBC or 844 system, a system which will make sure that Kenyans who are coming out from this system, actually they become the managers of the country. That is what other countries are doing. For example, I'm going to give a small example. Mimi nikikuja hapa France, I wanted a teacher in France because I do not know the system. I do not know the language. I was not born here. Possible. They are holding me to their culture, which I cannot say if kama nimetoka Kenya. Mimi nitakuja na Kenya yangu na Kikuyu yangu nianze kuwafundisha vile Maumau walifanya, but the reality, them they have no interest even with Maumau. They want to know about Charles de Gaulle and all that, which by then I did not know. So you see, it's a system which is teaching them their home, how they are supposed to. Their civic education is being taught inside there. Law is being taught. Actually, introduction to law is an obligatory in the schools, primary unaanziaga chini, haianzi uko juu ati when you are going to the university you are being taught how to deal with your neighbor, how to deal with your in case there is a problem and how to litigate these kind of things. They are also taught accounts, small accounts, how to deal with the money, how to open an account, how to take care of your money, which you, let's say your parents are giving you every month like $40 or $50 or 50 euros. This is something that we do not have in Kenya. We have not taught our kids. Si tunafundisha CRE. CRE inapeleka mtoto wapi? Kwa kanisa. Huko kwa kanisa ndio tunaenda tunapatana na politicians wenye baadaye wanakuja kutudanganya. So what have you actually taught that kid? It is stupidity. We have to make sure that we change the education system for the kids who are coming behind. And I was expecting that conversation with professors and teachers and any person who is in education system to bring it up and make sure that they bring something concrete for that mindset. Another thing, Kenyans, when they are going to that place, State House, ni kwa sababu okay, tumesema hawana pesa. So my question is, when you are, for example, your brother asks you for 10K, then next time asks you for another 10K, at a point you will come and ask him, yenyewe shida ni nini? You know, and then you will sit down and mwambie, you know, the best thing I can do is, instead of me giving you 10,000 every month, or 10,000 every 2 months, let's sit down and you give me a job yenye unaweza fanya, hata kama ni ya kuuza mayai, tukusaidie, tukuwekee pesa, at least every month ukuwe na kapesa kako. You see, that one umemtoa kwa ile shida yenye alikuwa nayo. Actually umemweka to a point where his mind is going to start working and will start using economics instead ya hiyo kupewa pesa kidogo kidogo. There is an issue I wanted to talk about, the e-citizen. I paid e-citizen driving license twice. Sikuwahi rudishiwa the second one. Mpaka saa hii, there is no place where you can say I want to complain and be given back my money. Another issue is also about the passport. In passport, when you are asking for your passport, and for example, you put 2020, the date of birth, instead of 2010, and normally you sent all the documents, but still you just made a problem, or you just, you know, typed it wrongly. They will not look for the information. Atuangalie wa copy paste, waangalie sema yenyewe hapo ni 2010 ama maandika jina yako instead of Hannah Wangui Nderitu na I ikwe na E. They do not look at it. Actually they print it just the way it is. So at the ukirudishiwa, unarudishiwa makaratasi yako bado kama iko na hiyo ka error yenye ulitype. It's a typo, but they have all the documents. They can look at all the documents, but they do not verify. So unapata umeambiwa ulipe tena another passport, which because you had an error with that passport. So you see, these are things whereby you can say, I'll call them. But even if you call them, they say the error comes from you. You are the one who did the error. But even when you go to whichever, even the bank, they will look at your documents and they will tell you, hapa umekosea, andika vizuri hapa. That is what is going to be a problem with the e-citizen, this anything to do with this logging in and information. So we have to be very careful when we are looking at this information so that we know how to deal with the customers, because Kenyans are the customers, how they are going to pay. Because if you are going to be paying for a service twice or 3 times because you did an error and you're not going to be given back, that is also a loss for that person. Maybe you, and we know very well the economy ya Kenya haitiki watu wafanye ulipe nini passport twice. Kuna mtu amejifinya saa hiyo ndio alipe hiyo passport once already. So if you're going to put him again into the same state where they are going to go again, start looking for money so that they can pay for another passport, ini kuweka upweke kwa watu, kufanya Wakenya wakuwe na hasira because of a stupid system yet they would have gone, unakaa chini na your client service nini person, na unamwambia hapa, anakuambia hapa ni wrong, hapa ni right. So you see there's that rapproche which is also very important. We have to be very careful on those things. Thank you very much.
Hillary. Quick.
Yeah,
What I wanted to conclude by saying is that our focus, still I insist, should be to make sure that this governance system that we've had for the longest time is uprooted once and for all, with an aim to see it that corruption or literally stealing of public resources, some which are done legally, by coming up with laws that allow them to even access loans and to bank them on other banks that are not even within this country, to make sure that such theft is no longer happening in this country. And I can see that as time goes, people are getting information. And I just realized that we are not only going to rely on information to help us achieve this. As we said that Ruto did the greatest thing by hurting Kenyans to an extent that we automatically got awakened by the fact life is still going to be tough, and it is through those adversities that we'll be facing that will get more people, even the uninformed, to the street. I still believe that Kenya will one day be Nepalized, or we will experience Nepal. Is not easy. A time comes when kama msha dharauliana for long, then when you fight, then you still happen to be friends thereafter. So I know this is going to happen, but above all, wherever you are, you can, the only way to redirect Kenya to good governance is by sticking to the rule of law. As long as there are leaders who are not ready to apply that, they still continue with the we will continue to vote even for the minority, as the minority keep growing to be the majority. We will not be voting a better evil. When we have two evils, we will still continue. We will still continue voting for the right people until we get it right. That is
okay. Go ahead, land Tomboya, as we go. Thank you.
yes. As I learned, I also prick your mind that my belief system is also that democracy is not necessarily serving Kenya for good. It is very delusional, and it has led to having the majority uninformed and interested to vote for the wrong people. I just pray that a time should come that voting will also be done on a representative basis, so that people who are able to impact lives through their skills, through their professionalism, through their talent, those who God blessed with wisdom to be able to represent a larger majority. A time should come where a vote by one person represents even a vote by 1,000 people. Those are the things that I pray for, and I believe it will one day happen. Thank you.
Asante. Academia, go 2 minutes quick. And then we do our closing statement. I think there is Felix, and then we can do our closing statement. Thank you.
Yes, Abdi, actually, I wanted to respond to you and Tom about what you read, Paul Moite context. One, Senior Counsel Paul Moite, I agree with him to the extent that those are his personal, his own and personal opinion. So I would have expected him to lay legal framework or legal basis upon which he relies to issue such kind of statement. So I don't agree with him in this manner that this procurement will kill devolution, and this is my justification. One, County Governments Act itself does not create a separate procurement framework. So what does that mean? It means that it mandates all the county procurement must be comply with the national procurement law. In this case, the national procurement law, which is a national law, is under the Public Procurement Act, which then binds both the national and the county government. So there is no procurement law which is separate from what we have. So either way, the county government and the national government work with the same law. So any result out of that any other thing with the county, and it does not interfere with, unless we have a separate procurement framework that works for the county, which is not binding or which is not in tandem with the national government.
Academia,
So to this
Academia,
date,
do you know the reason why the governors are rejecting it?
the reason
Do
why
you
the
know the
governors
reason?
are, yes,
And the
yes,
Wanyama went to the court, and you know the reasons they gave.
the reason,
Did you read the reasons that the governors are pushing back against the e-procurement?
I understand that reason. What I'm saying is
Okay.
the
What
reason
is the reason for the
the reason
governors pushing back?
no, the reason they are giving is not based on law. So we are talking about law here. The law
Perfectly,
allows
perfectly. I agree with you about the legality, and that's
yes.
why they went to the courts to have this interpretation. But
So
there are other issues that are there. Let me just put you on the notice on these issues that they said. Their concerns are valid. There is inadequate consultation, which is public participation between the stakeholders, serious technological barriers, clear legal incompatibility with what they use. More importantly, it strikes at the heart of the county autonomy and risk major disruptions. What counties are asking for is not the rejection of this reform, but a phased approach, one that is legally aligned, supported with proper infrastructure, backed by adequate training. And this is what they are looking for. And I think these are legitimate reasons they are giving.
so you are right. So you see, the senior counsel should have put legal basis in this case, professional development skills. So even the law recognizes that anytime you introduce a new system, in this case, people are well not conversant with it. So you will need to train people. So the question is not the legality, the question is the capacity. So the capacity, I will agree with them, the capacity, they have to build that capacity because somebody in Turkana may not access the e-procurement. And my argument is, let them accept that those who can use e-procurement with capacity, especially Nairobi, they have the capacity. They cannot now look for manual because the law recognizes that manual, we will abandon it. We will have to leave it and work with the e-procurement. Only that once we have built that capacity. So they should work with the government, with the national government to build that capacity. Meanwhile, those who can access it, let them work with e-procurement because that's what the law provides. You can use manual, you can use e-procurement as long as you are comfortable with the e-procurement. But manual, everybody can work with the manual. Only that e-procurement is a new system that they need to integrate into the devolved unit and make it accessible.
So
And
what is the
do all other things that can work.
let me just quickly ask you, what is the conservatory order that was issued by the court? That's to the e-procurement.
So they stop until the case is here and determined. To stop is because the argument is they are not ready to use e-procurement because the system has not been tested and they are not well conversant with it. And the only sense is that the government was pushing for e-procurement in its totality, which I'm also against because you cannot force the devolved unit to use e-procurement.
So I read a comment for you from one of the lawyers here also. He says the Kenya High Court has issued conservatory order directing the National Treasury should going forward accept both electronic and manual submission of tender documents and to process the same equally irrespective of their form of submission, provided they meet the criteria set in section 77 of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. That's what I think that's what
That is the
somebody.
same thing we are saying. That actually is the same thing we are saying. That is what I'm telling you. The law provides for both the manual and for those who can use manual, let them use manual. The problem is with the national government that they want to insist the e-procurement. So that's wrong. So the injunction that was given is not to make them use e-procurement, is to allow people who cannot use e-procurement to use manual procurement. So let people use what is comfortable with them. But that is for now. But in the long run, even the public, the finance and management, public finance management FM Act provides that the procurement should be electronic.
Did you read the submission from Wanyama? I think it's one of the parties in this case, right? For the Council of Governors.
No, I've not read for Wanyama.
Okay.
Was I next?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Maybe just to put it to start it from where we left it on that e-procurement. We might be going into circles describing the same thing in different words and with so many words, and it becomes even hard when we start now using big English and big legal terms. In simple terms, what is in question here, or what is happening here is, if you have not been conned, you never know what is happening. Until you are conned is when you become very careful. And that is what is in question with the e-procurement, be it SHA and what, because we have missed the trust. It is the mistrust which is there. People were saying how SHA will be bad, and it was like, no, it will be the best thing ever. So when we saw how bad it was, and we know who was pushing it, with e-procurement, we also know who is pushing it. So it is all about the mistrust that we have. And when you see people are against it, they see who is. We can coin it and say the the government is pushing it. It's not the government pushing. There is someone pushing it. and that again is what there's the mistrust. Coming generally again out of that, and coming giving my general remarks again, is that I think when it comes to governance, the truth is, if we rely on the ideologies of our fathers, we might not change the country. It is very hard. I sometimes go back to my village and listen to my dad speak, make stories. It's very hard to change. If you come to our generation, I think we need generational change, which might need to a lot of effect, because uh, you will realize that the way we argue still sometimes when we come to spaces we speak different from what we do when we are out of space. One thing, because I've been in the civic education for a long time, I have done election campaigning, not campaigning, but election programming, because I work in civil society. One question we have been grappling with is what happens on the election eve. Something happens, I don't know what that is, or during that small period of election, that you can have a very nice program of electing good leaders. But when the election eve comes, we all forget. That is where we are having equalizer. Whether someone has a PhD, whether someone is a border rider, we all argue the same and we elect the same people. Then what happens again the following day after the election? The MP that you elected now start becoming bad. Yesterday, when you are going to elect him, he was good. Everyone starts becoming bad after. And then it continues. Today, I'm very sure even those who elected Ruto are saying how bad it was. Let election comes. Again, they will be like, we all forget, and we just focus on that particular day, and then the following day, they become bad. I know there are people who have said that repeatedly. And so we need a change that must start with me, not with us. You know, it's sometimes good when we are in space and we are speaking very nice things. I need change that will come inside from me, and then I can talk to my brother, and then that's the change that we need. But with just speaking, most of the times we will be speaking what is called the ideal, and not what is specifically practical. Thank you.
Asante sana, asante sana. Okay, now we are almost coming to the end of our speech tonight. I would Ras Mwaniki, did you speak?
No, not yet. I've been
Okay,
patient.
go ahead, go ahead. I give you 1 minute to, because you're a bit late, to give your opening and closing remarks on this state of the nation, and then we
We have one aim. Would like to see change in how this country is run. For those who are for the streets, I would say you don't need anybody's permission. For the rest of us who think we should go through the electoral process, I think we need to sit down and strategize. Just bill in the Senate, it's not clear whether it's there or it's not there, that is talking about extending the presidential term and all that. I am of the idea that we need to change the constitution and to limit the presidential term to just because what we have discovered is when you elect a president who is expecting to go for 2 terms, they spend the first term campaigning for the second term. They spend all their efforts bribing people so that they can win the next election. We had a space chance of winning the next election. Just think about it. If in 2010 we had set the presidential limit to just one term, Uhuru would have done his 4 years. Probably Raila would have also done his 4 years. Ruto would have already finished his 4 years, or he would be about to finish his 4 years. And then we'll be talking about other things. So if we can marshal the numbers, 6 months down the line, we have a change in the constitution, make it a habit to have presidents run for 4 years. My take on that. And in the absence of that, I'm not in favor of the streets. I'm in favor of strategizing, going ahead and winning the next election, because I believe it is possible to bring this change through constitutional means. Thank you very much for the space.
Asante sana, asante sana. Thank you, thank you. Let's start with the lady. Hannah, give us your 1 minute final thought.
Keep on keeping on, and tutageuza hii nchi the minute we decide. That is a decision that all and everybody will decide once and for all. Mkiamua tutakuwa, lakini msipoamua hatutakuwa. That's the reality of the situation. Nepal did it in 36 hours. We
It has been a very healthy, very engaging debate. I still continue to urge that William Ruto delegation, he's simply playing what he has been taught since his days in campus. So for him, it is politics, and we have to remember it's only through democracy that we fire and hire these leaders as an alternative government in waiting, because I don't want also to find out. I see it, and from the way I view opposition, they are busy whipping emotions, they are busy misleading the public, they are busy safeguarding territories that I'll quote, I'll put in quotes, their territories, yeah? So let us be very vigilant as Kenyans. If you get an opportunity, I know it is very hard, preach to Kenyans. We are capable of doing this. We are capable of doing this. We are capable of electing leaders. They don't have to come from very big political parties. They can be independent, as long as from both the county level and the national level, the biggest problem in this country is an executive that has refused to acknowledge that we have a separation of powers ambayo imewakalia. Lastly, Abdi, I don't want to take a lot of time responding also to remarks that will reduce the value of our conversation. The only thing that I can say is let us be people who are alive to the facts of the problem that has faced this nation right kutoka kitambo mpaka mahali penye wako. And I like saying this: if you will support this government simply because some individual got into government through the broad-based arrangement, then you are another problem in this country. If you are supporting this government because it serves the people of your tribe or your friends, then you are part of the problem in this Kenya. If you are opposing this government because of emotions and you don't want to be engaging. You don't want to tell the Kenyan population I've not been bringing forth. Believe me, the city politics are very different. I wish I had not responded to that, but
Okay.
I would want to remind my and the person that has pitted me against the diaspora people. I have so many friends in the diaspora. I have so many people whom agree with me ideologically. Some don't, but we have never disagreed. So I'm calling about and believe me, once we start doing that, the political class will start calling us different names. They will not call us disorganized. They will not call us ranters and stuff. It has been a great show. Thank you, Abdi, and thank you, Hillary.
Thank you, Rasji, and thank you. I think Honorable Akabando says he could not attend, and he says he was directly invited to State House by his by Rais, perhaps to benefit.
That I think previous speaker was speaking about. I think it's academia speaking about the e-procurement, and I just want to remind you guys that he has not been able to capture is, to control. It is the counties, because the autonomy of the county. He wants to make sure that those guys. You heard him saying that how come one governor can bribe 150 million? Where did they get that money? So that the county, the county is one of the problem for him, because he wants to have a control, and because the allocation is going to the counties, that they are doing their own things. He is trying to find a way to make sure that these people will dance to his tune. So he wants to make sure that, okay, that's why you're seeing the governors are fighting. It's not that the e-procurement is a bad thing, but they know that if it is him giving you the money and again taking that money back, so that he can control whatever you guys are going to do, so that he can have all a plan for Kasongo to make sure that he have the control of the whole country, that nobody does anything other than him, and nobody decides what happens until he says. So Kasongo is a threat, and all the same problem. So for those who are saying two-term, Julikana for something. If you are saying two-term, die with the two-term. If you're saying no term, die with that. Let yeah. For those who, if the majority are the no term at Wakishinda, let them have their way. Thank you so much, Abdi.
Asante sana. I don't know where Chacha went. Chacha was to pick the mic. Chacha, pick it up from where, if you are still there. Academia, 1 minute. Academia, 1 minute on your submission. Okay, Dr. Kimani, pick it up.
Yes,
Submission, 1 minute, yeah.
let me land on it. I would agree with the Council of Governors or the county government, and the view that I oppose to mandatory introduction or rollout of e-procurement, and therefore they must redesign its approach to align with the constitutional principles of public participation, devolution, and inclusivity, where we have disabilities, women, and young people. So it lacks that inclusivity for now. So they have to redesign that approach to include and make sure that people participate in the process of getting it rolled out. Thank you for today.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Kimani, pick it up.
Yeah, so thank you mentioned the conversation, the discussion has been very
Ini ya
fruitful.
nini?
Uh, I think
Ya
I
kupiga
like it.
nini?
But my last submission that we have in Kenya, unfortunately, people have decided to have a very close relationship with it. And those who are associated with it are so loosely, uh, you know, looking at it and not thinking about the future of our country, Kenya. So as we go about what we people in position of leadership, let us continue looking at ways that will eliminate that monster called corruption. And last but not least, in whatever we do, let us make sure that we uphold our constitution and its givings. If it says the power belongs to the people, and we have decided that power is already given to the people who are in the place, and if they are not doing whatever they're supposed to be doing with our power, we can get our country has to move on, and we must be able to promise a fruitful future for the next generation. So thank you so much, and I hope I'll hear from you next weekend. Thank you so much. Good night, good morning, and good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, listening to Kenyans on this on the call today, the key takeaway that I get is there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of disappointment, almost resignation to our fate. There is a poll that was put together by Hillary asking, is the problem politicians or is it us? And I will say it's us. It's and hope for miracles. I have told Kenyans when the idea of voting for someone because he's an entertainer is so dumb. It defies credibility. When you look at a place like Nairobi, for example, and you say, we are looking for a city of a county with 4.6 million people, with turnover of 33 billion. Be smart about allocating these resources to serve people. So you need someone who understands that if I spend 1 billion on travel, that means that I'm not going to spend as much money as I want to, or for example, count that I'm not going to be able to serve you can't serve 99.7% of the population using 45% of the revenue. It doesn't make any sense. So, but the person who's making those decisions has no experience of ever running anything. He's never ran a kiosk. He's never had a job where he's held accountable for his production and profitability and how he's using resources under him. But the guy asked for a job and we give him the job. You can't blame him. I mean, if I'm looking for a job and and I see one job where, I can be CEO, I have no education, I have no skills, I've never done anything, but someone suggests that I can get that job and I can see other people getting jobs like that without qualifications. You think I'm going to turn it down? I'm going to ask at changing direction. We've made a lot of bad decisions, but we can also fix them once we understand that we are capable in the situation that we're in. Last point I want to make is this. I'm going to be issuing a call to us to start thinking about how we can serve our fellow citizens today, as opposed to we're always thinking about, so that we start having governments that serve citizens. You've heard me talk about, for example, this issue of spending 55% of the county revenue on salaries. It's illegal, right? It's supposed to be a maximum of 35%. But our politicians are doing it because they know that nobody's going to do anything. The MCAs in these county governments are supposed to be keeping that executive accountable and saying, you can't spend 55% because that's illegal. And that means that you're going to deprive citizens of money that's supposed to be building roads, hospitals, etc. So how is it that that's going on every year? We can't sit down and hope for people to do the right thing. We have to actually force them to do it. So I'm going to be calling on Kenyans to come together and help us. I'm looking for lawyers, basically. We need to start taking these people to court for what they've done already. And if we do that, if we take them to court and we start winning cases, we are going to start having discipline in place so that this year, instead of Nairobi doing the same thing that I did last year and the year before that, they start obeying the law. If we do that, some of that money is going to end up serving citizens. So look in yourself and ask yourself how you can help correct the situation, and work with other Kenyans to kind of start working on change, as opposed to just sitting down and agonizing about how we might vote in 2027. So let's start working on change today. Thank you.
Thank you. Chacha, your final closing remark. Asante sana. Thank you for coming back.
I was all along here, and I want to. By the Bonnie, you do a wonderful job. Personally, I've benefited immense on the analysis you do at the county level specifically, and it has gone to show how much we've really wasted the last decade or so. But I hope that we are not going to give up.
Thank you.
As we say, as I want to summarize, I just want to say that I think the way forward for us as a people requires a shift from survival to strategy. To break that this extractionist system that I've spoken before about in other fora and here. And as Kenyans, we must adopt two powerful concepts. First, the ethnic entrepreneurs, their currency is ethnicity. The one who profits by turning communities against each other specifically. We must redirect our anger away from other communities, the hatred, the Mulima versus watu wa Pwani versus watu wa Wapi, and squarely onto this enterprise from the bull's eye so that we can focus on non-issues. This doesn't mean silencing them entirely, but it means making their brand of politics holding the executive accountable, and our resilience depends on valuing our collective dignity over desperate divisive handouts. Thank you very much. But there is still some hope at the end of the day. Thank you.
Asante sana. Thank you all. As we come.
Give an
something Bonnie said, which is not sitting well with me. So I have to put a climax on it. So vote very well, good people, but they are incompetent. Very well educated people and they are competent. For example, France, we have 5 prime ministers. Right now, we have the 5th prime minister. And it's not like the others were not good. They were very good, but they could not sit well with and vote correctly. But we cannot say that when, like the situation we are in right now in Kenya, nobody is protecting the people. We have come to the point where there's no institution that is doing its maximum level to protect the people. So at the end of the day, all those independent institutions are for themselves vote no confidence and remove anyone who they feel that it's possible to remove. We have seen the members of parliament, they have actually protected themselves so very much, even it's impossible to remove them. So there has to be something that we have to do, either put it in the constitution to vote of no confidence with the people, not that mandate from the parliamentary, because if the parliamentary cannot be able to do it and the other institutions cannot be able to do it, as we are in right now, we have to have
Is this all these things that you're talking about? Someone talked about having a one-term presidency. Hannah is talking about institutions are not functioning. Uh, when you boil down this, hiring someone, and you have applicants apply for positions, the best thing that you can do is find people that you know are going to function properly. They are not thieves, they have the competency. Way to overcome all these things that you're putting in place. So when we elect people that don't have the competence, I gave you an example of Nairobi, for example. I say you've had a governor who has no capability, has no intellectual capacity to understand issues, right? So you need to understand the role that you're playing in this. If we all understand that, we are going to make the best decisions to hire the best people who have the competency. It's not just an issue of on 1% of the population. It cannot look at the data and understand that my people are hungry. I need to actually make sure that I'm doing corruption, you can hope that in the future we'll have, a government that's serious on corruption and we can pursue these people. There's no recourse for stupidity, for incompetence. There's no court that you can take someone and say, different he will be from Sakaja. And people are sitting here saying, oh, that's who we want now, I'm not sure that we've learned our lesson. Thank you.
That's why we have to fire him.
Okay,
Fire
asante
and
sana.
fire.
Okay, thank you. The edition pressure point, and as we come to close, let's pause, take stock. I think this will, however powerful, is above the constitution. The Safaricom scandal exposed the dangers of corporate complicity in the state excess. The debt numbers reveal the harsh truth. Kenya is sinking deeper into insolvency, not because we lack revenue, but because we are drowning in mismanagement and theft. And the push to extend outreach. We must live here with resolve. The state of the nation is not defined by those who occupy high offices or boardrooms, I think. It's defined by how we, the people, respond when our rights, our constitution, and our future and principles that hold the nation together. If we surrender them for convenience, we betray not just ourselves, accident, but because her citizens stood by it when it mattered most. Good night, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us, and may we carry this spirit of vigilance, courage to the next week ahead. Asanteni sana. Over to you, Hillary.
Thank you so much, Abdi. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today at the Pressure Point. And we are so grateful and for your time, for your energy, for your openness. Engaging with these ideas is so important for us to reflect on what you have said today, the challenges, the perspective, the insights that I think that because of the pressure doesn't only reveal our limits, but it reveals our strength. So, guys, let us leave complaints. Let us leave the when it comes to such conversation and everything. And I think that here, uh, when we want to rebuttal ourselves, and that's where the politicians take advantages, and that's why when we hear the politicians, Kenya is the only country, or Africa is the country that where the politicians still, when they think you are here to decide which the pressure you want to take. Thank you so much, guys. I am happy to see everybody. Let us focus on the pressure point every week, every